It's time to pick your favorites and decide what is shit. Are you ready for this? It's the tier list. Come on, let's go. It's time for the tier list show.
Good evening. I say good evening and welcome to the Tier List Show. That's right. We got Neek Weiser here. How are you doing, sir? You're muted.
Oh, sorry.
You're a teenage muted Ninja Turtle.
All right. I said, well, you did the I'll say, so I'm like, well, you're Foghorn Leghorn. So I guess Foghorn Leghorn must be a TMNT fan. But yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Happy to be here. Happy to do the most predictable ranking of TMNT, but happy to be doing it anyways because any excuse to talk about the TMNT in any capacity for me is an absolute win.
Cowabunga.
I like turtles.
That's right. We also have Greg, aka Fanzine, hanging out with us. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing good. I said, boy, I'm doing good tonight.
Are you doing awesome?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing tubular.
Bodacious?
Bodacious.
Bodacious.
I always like cowabunga.
So, Tom, I gotta ask you: did you decide to do the TMNT list because today is the 35-year anniversary of the theatrical release date of the 1990 movie?
That is correct, sir.
Woo! Radical.
You kind of knew that, but yes. Thank you for the lead-in. So yeah, as Nick just pointed out, it is the 35th anniversary of the 1990 film, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that day quite well because my dad was supposed to take me to the movie. So he took me to Burger King where he got me all of the VHS tapes of the Burger King tapes they had at the time. They're promoting TMNT and a TMNT Kids Club burger, and then he proceeded to get drunk before the show, so my mom had to take me instead. So
oh man.
Oh, that's great.
Oh
yes, so it was a memorable experience, but it was fun. It was a great experience seeing it opening night with a packed crowd. I don't even know if I expected it to be as popular as it was at that time. But I mean, there's still people who debate how much money it actually made because of how things were back then compared to how, they are now and the distribution of how it went and everything like that. But I mean, it was the highest grossing independent film of all time until the Blair Witch Project 9 years later. So if that says anything. But with that, yes, let's say hello to all the folks in the chat. And we'll ask Nick and Greg their first experience with Ninja Turtles in just a moment. We got 6. Who I don't know if she's going to join us or not. She has the link. Says with $5. Damn it. I forgot the fucking emoji.
I like turtles.
Thank you for the $5, 6. And she goes, I like colonians. Oh.
Almost thought she said chlamydia. So.
Yeah. Are those like does she mean chameleons or is that a different type of lizard I don't know about?
I'm not sure.
That could be both. SFX F314 Sabretooth Raptor sends in 10. Thank you. Actually had 2 of them. I wonder if these are, I should probably read them in the right order. Sends in 1. The first one says, calling it now TMNT 1. The first is super S tier. TMNT 2A or B. TMNT 3 B because it is better than Bay. TMNT or awful rogue. TMNT 07 B or C. TMNT Batman. TMNT B Turtles Multiverse B or C. Okay, well. You might be sort of right, but some of these things you said I didn't include any of the Batman or the Forever. It's just the theatrical Turtles movies. So that's where we're gonna go with today. None of the series or anything like that. But your ratings for the series is S tier. For the 80 series, 03 is S tier, and then the others rather not consider them canon, and only Z tier fan fiction. The awful live action TV series belongs in the Mariner's Trench or in the sun. Yeah, I hear you. I didn't think the 2012 series was all that bad. It was mostly harmless, but it was clearly for little kids, right? So I was like, okay, it's not for me, but it doesn't break too much of the lore. And actually, they did bring in like the Utrons and some other things that weren't.
It gets really comic booky as the seasons go
I was
on.
gonna say,
It
yeah.
even gets even crazy with the pushing the limits of the show. And there's definitely some innuendo jokes there for the adults too.
I was gonna say it was rather popular with a lot of folks, even classic TMNT fans. So I will definitely give that show a shout out. But after that, no. The rise of the TMNT and all that business followed that. Fuck that. So yeah, we got Jason Webster in the house. We got 6, as we pointed out before. BLT's here. Chris D Dios, if I said that correctly. BLT is here. Many Dragon 5 is here. Caleb Levine is here. Forgotten Prime is here. You're not forgotten. ActionCom's in the house. How you doing, ActionCom? Deeple 101's here saying Leroy Jenkins. We got Keith Howard, Kalekioki. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. Bryant Barth's here. Hello, Heather Preston. Who else we got? Walter Tomaszewski. Ham Dinger is here, folks, in case you're curious. We got Ericole DiStefano. Best West. Anthem 21X. And I got it right. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, so yes, we never miss a chance to talk about some TMT, that's for sure. Dead Man is here as well. Sorry, didn't see you right away. I think I got everybody that's been in the chat so far that sounded off. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Oh, Grand Admiral Adam as well. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Share out the stream. Let everybody know that we are live. Hopefully the folks from Valiant Stream will join us shortly. But in the meantime, let's get the turtle power going, as Grand Admiral Adam said here. Because yeah, we're counting down, or at least tier ranking the see here, seven theatrical. It's hard to believe there's been 7 so far.
Yeah.
And I don't do no S tier shit. It's A, B, C, D, F. That's what it is with me. To me, then it gets into argumentative and whatever. I found that it's much easier just to wipe that off the board right away.
The classic ABCDF.
Just the old school, like we're in school, literal.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but only because it's a literal pun. So let's get started here. I figured we'd start with a banger. We got one that I have some. Oh shit, I forgot. Before we get into this, I totally spaced this out. I'm sorry. So Nick, what was your first experience with TMNT? Because all 3 of us are fairly the same age. So I got to imagine we were in that 9, 10, 11, 12 year age range when the first movie came out, maybe a little younger, older.
So I was 3 when the movie came out in theaters.
Oh, wow. You're a little younger than I thought. Okay, yeah.
But I was obsessed with the movie as a kid. It was something that
if I saw this as a 3-year-old, I would be obsessed too.
I was told from my parents that I was obsessed with the Ninja Turtles, and apparently I went gaga when there was a cartoon on TV. So, and then of course, then there was the Super Nintendo video games, where you'd be joining your friends, fighting in the sewers on surfboards. I was just taking as much TMNT I could get, whether it was from the cartoons, rewatching the hell out of the first movie, the video games. I had tons of the toys. I still am a TMNT-aholic. I have just been in love with this franchise of characters. So then it boggled my mind. I think it's around 6th grade when I found out they're based on a comic. And then I never actually got around to reading any comics. I think it was around freshman year. And yeah, it's just been a thing that has just stuck with me through all the things I've been into. Some things came and went, kind of a little bit of phase. Some things stuck around. TMNT, like pizza, has been one of the things that stuck around in my life. And the fact that my oldest daughter is a huge fan of it is, well, I'm really very fortunate as a dad. The fact that I can have her be as invested as I am in TMNT. It's great.
So Greg, I was like 9 and he was 3. So how old were you roughly when the movie came out?
I was either 7 or 8, if I remember correctly. Maybe 7. It might have been 7. But I do remember it. I was a huge fan of the cartoon. I had Nick there. I had all the toys, and I remember because I went opening day too to the theater because I was like super pumped because I absolutely love the Turtles. And I remember, like you were talking about, because like when we were there, we were waiting in line. The line to see the Ninja Turtles movie at the theater was all the way out, stretched out to the end of the parking lot. It was insane. I mean, I had been to a couple movies by that point, and that was like, I have never been to any other movie in my lifetime like that. And like, even with seeing like Star Wars and stuff later on, and other movies, and big movies, Terminator and all that, I have never ever seen a line like I experienced with the Ninja Turtles movie, because it was absolutely insane. It was a packed house. It was just an incredible experience. I loved it. It gave me all the feelings of the cartoon, but so much more, because it was so much better than the cartoon. It's just, I love the movie, and I'm still a fan today. And I didn't know it was based off a comic book till I got a little older myself, and then I got read some of them and everything, the black and white ones and all that. So yeah, it was something that stuck with me to this day. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Nick.
I got to throw in a really great story that involves my comic book retailer I've been going to for a long time. He had access to being able to sell a few copies of the original #1 of the first TMNT from Eastman and Laird, black and white, everything, it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And he took a look at a copy. He said, I don't know if this will sell well. Probably not going to really amount to anything. You want to talk about the biggest one that got away with him? Yes. That's the biggest one that got away for him. He told
honestly,
me
if you think about it,
the biggest mistake he ever made.
Those first 5 or so of the TMNT Mirage runs are probably some of the most valuable comic book, besides like the old ass ones. Like if you go by actual value compared to when they came out, compared to like the modern comics like that came out at the same time, I don't think there's anything in that comes near. Because I mean, I just know what Yellow Flash has paid for some of the ones he's got. Right,
dude, even and it's one of those rare comics where even the second printing is worth a lot of money on some of them. Even
dude, I've got reprints that are probably 6th or 7th printings or more deep that are probably worth quite a bit more than what that's the thing, because they weren't printed all that much. And yeah, I got a semi funny, not so much funny, but kind of weird story of how I found out they were comics. Because like, yeah, I mean, they were everywhere. Because like I tell this most often, like I grew up. Obviously Superman and stuff like that was kind of and He-Man were my first exposure to like this kind of stuff growing up. And then Ghostbusters was the biggest thing for a while. And then I remember TMNT was like my next big thing. Like, I mean, I liked other things besides those, but I remember those were like the main, course of my childhood existence. You know what I mean? Like those were like the 3 eras of being a kid. Cause TMNT came right at the edge of me being a kid going into a teenager. So like the cutoff point for me is Power Rangers. So like when it switched over from Ninja Turtles to Power Rangers is when I kind of cashed out, and I'm like, okay, now I'm no longer worried about this shit over here. I'm worried about pussy. Right? That's kind of what it became.
Does that always get you?
Doesn't it? Yeah. Well, and really like the first time I became aware of the comics was before the movie, but it really kind of blew my mind because I had, I had an older cousin who had a boyfriend at the time. And he's always, how it is if you have older like female cousins and they always have boyfriends, they always end up being the coolest dudes ever. Yeah. Like I remember one day talking about Ninja Turtles. I think I had a Ninja Turtle shirt on or something because he had brought it up, and he's like, I got a bunch of those comics. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I got a bunch of the comics. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you don't know they're based on a comic book? And he's like, and I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah, I don't even know if your parents would let you see the originals, but. And they just like whatever. So like one of the next times we were around, he brought a couple of them, and they were like the original. Like, I don't know if he had the first one, but he had like I specifically remember like the Raphael issue where with him and Casey, and he had the one that they used for the video game cover. You know what I'm talking about? I think it was issue 4. And I know he had at least those 2 specifically and a couple of the little bit later ones. And it blew my mind seeing these because I'd never seen. I'm like, wow. And to see the difference between the cartoon and those, it was like staggering. So when I saw the film, and I didn't know what to expect going into the movie, because at that time, there wasn't a shit ton of advertising going into it. It was kind of like this grassroots kind of thing, if I remember right, because like all of us kids were talking about it. You had like the cereal and other things, and there was little bits and pieces and teases here and there on like the cereal boxes and other places you were getting for the movie coming, but we never really even got to look at the trailer until like real close to release. And even the trailer was not real good, really representative of what the movie was yet. The first thing I remember seeing that was like the movie was a clip on like Good Morning America or something like that.
Yeah.
And it blew my little fucking mind. Cause I was like, holy shit, the Ninja Turtles are there. Right? Like,
Yeah.
and they're moving and they're not fake and they don't look like fucking puppets. And they don't look like makeup, right? Like I was not sure what to fucking expect. So until that moment, I was like, not sure what to think. And then when I saw the movie, it blew my fucking mind. Like I was like, can I go see that again right now? And I saw the movie like 3-4 times in the theater. It was crazy. It was so good. But all right, so our first movie on the list here is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. And I do have a lot of fond memories of this film too, because it came out the exact year after the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to see it about 3 or 4 times as well in the theater. And as a kid at the age of 11, it was one of the greatest movies ever. Was it as good as the first one? No, even then I didn't think it was as good as the first one, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit. But as an adult, a lot of people have kind of looked back at Secret of the Ooze and they don't have his rose-colored glasses, and they make fun of it and poke fun at it, and you know they dump on it a bit. But you know what? I think it's still a lot of fun. I still revisit it quite often. So what do you guys think? Greg, where would you rate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze?
Yeah, much like you, I remember it not being as good as the first movie, but I still do have a lot of fun with this movie today. I would say I'd give it a solid B plus. I would say it's almost an A. I mean, because with the nostalgia goggles on, it's an A. But I would give it a B plus as a movie because it is fun. It does have some great moments. It has like, you still remember like Ninja Vanish and all that, and like there's the Ooze. I remember the Ooze. I remember the now I can't remember his name, but the British guy, David, the actor. Oh, I can't remember his name. Whatever, David. But like
David Warner, the original Freddy.
Warner,
yeah.
Yes, because I remember David Warner. I remember liking him because I had seen him in some stuff. What year this was? Like 91, right? Because you said it came out. So I remember him in a lot
exactly a year to the date.
Later. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, March 21st, I think it was, but yeah, pretty much exactly a year to the date. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having fun with it. I remember missing Casey Jones. I remember thinking, why didn't they just use oh my god, I can't. What are their names? The Rhino. And I'm old. And I'm forgetting things.
Bebop and Rocksteady.
Bebop and Rocksteady. Thank you. I remember why didn't they just use Bebop and Rocksteady instead of Token Razor? But I remember thinking it was a fun movie. I remember what's his name, the pizza guy, really liking him. Kino, yes, he was great. So yeah, I would give it a solid B plus. I had fun with it. I know it was a little because they talk about how like all the parents got uppity because the weapons that were used in the first movie, so like they don't use their weapons at all. So I was disappointed in that. I think Mikey is the only one that really uses his weapons as nunchucks at one point in the movie, because they don't really use their weapons at all. But
actually, he doesn't even really use them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
April actually does, but
yeah, that's right. Yeah, April. I knew there was the Chucks were in there.
I like to do some chucking every now and then.
Yeah. But I do remember like loving Super Shredder. I love Super Shredder, and I love the like
Kevin Nash.
Yes, yeah, Kevin Nash, and I like the scene where Shredder comes back and the hand pops out of the garbage and he comes in, and I like the new helmet. So like I have like fond memories of it. Like it's like it has its moments, great moments, but yeah, is it a little cornier and a little more childish than the first movie? Yeah, but it's a solid B plus. I love it. I think it's a fun movie still.
And remember, go Ninja,
Yeah,
go.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Vanilla Ice. So I remember, Vanilla Ice was kind of a big deal back in the day.
It's a green machine.
Yeah. Stop. Turtle Tap. Even that's MC.
Well, he was in the first soundtrack.
Yes.
Nick, what do you remember of Secret of the Ooze, and what would you rate it?
I did have a lot of memories of this movie growing up. I knew instantly off the bat I didn't like it as much, and at the time I couldn't point my finger at it. I knew I liked it, but I knew as a kid I didn't like it as much as the first one. I obviously there are things about it that are very memorable. Obviously, Big Daddy Cool Diesel being the Super Shredder. Obviously, the Go Ninja Go really stuck out as a kid. That was my introduction of Vanilla Ice. So those were big deals, especially when that was when I was living directly in Chirac at the time. That was a big song going on in the neighborhood all the freaking time. And I liked it. I rewatched it a lot of times. And then I think right around when I was a teenager, that's when I kind of put two and two together. Holy crud, they're not using their weapons. It was kind of like that, like revelation when I found out in Spider-Man the animated series on Fox that Spider-Man never actually threw a punch. It's kind of like a holy crud. Yeah, that never did happen type of thing. But I still enjoy the movie for what it was. It's obvious outside the weapons. It's definitely more in line with the 80s cartoons in terms of its silliness. But it's still a fun movie overall. But to be fair, even if it was to be in line tonality wise with the first movie, it's never going to measure up to that first movie because the first TMNT is kind of like the first Ghostbusters. They were lightning in a bottle movies, and there's just some things that are impossible to duplicate, no matter how good it is. But I'm going to give it a B.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, at the time as a kid, I didn't really notice that they didn't per se use their weapons. I did notice the shift in the tone, but to me, it was like, oh, it's a sequel. They're just doing something different. So it didn't really bother me as much. But yeah, it's where I kind of first noticed like a lot of my friends and stuff were going, and they were, even as kids, were starting to say shit like, well, they never use their weapons. And it's not as dark as the first movie. Well, they didn't use the term dark. They said, I think they said it wasn't as cool or something like that,
Yeah.
basically. But I knew what they meant, right? And gritty, it was kind of, they didn't say that term, but like along those lines. They're like, it didn't feel so real as the first movie was kind of the main thing they would say. And then, of course, the other thing was just how they would gripe. The biggest gripe I got from, I remember my friends were griping about was there was no Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, I understand those. But see, at that time, I was kind of one of those people that I could just accept a sequel for what it was. You know, like I didn't really question a lot of that shit. Like I didn't even understand because it was like the year after, a couple of years after Ghostbusters 2 had come out. And I was one of those people who kept kind of, because a lot of people said the same shit about Ghostbusters 2.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't get what people are saying. And as an adult, I do now.
That's
Right.
what, yeah, I
go
agree
ahead,
with
Greg.
you. No, I was gonna say I agree with you. That's what I wanted to say too. Is like none of the problems with the movie do you realize till you're an adult? Because I had fun. Like I loved it. I love Ghostbusters 2. I loved Batman Returns. I love Ninja Turtles 2. I was unaware there was problems with them till I got older. Now, not to cut you off.
Yeah, and then when you find out that basically they changed everything, well, because I mean, you got to remember the first movie was made kind of in a vacuum of sorts. I don't know if that's the correct term should use, but it was made in a way that the guys who were working on it were able to kind of just free flow and do what they needed to do until it hit, you know, the end of the film, and then we'll get into more of that kind of stuff later on. But like the second film had too many cooks in the kitchen from the start. You had Playmates who was pissed off about the violence in the first film and demanded that it be toned down. You had parents groups, and that was part of the reason why Playmates was upset about it. And that's, from my understanding, why there were no toys attached to the first film. Is that Playmates was not going to do it because of all the violence, but there were toys attached to the second film, and that's where they were okay with it. And it was Eastman and Laird who I guess were championing the idea of doing different bad guys, because I guess they could have done Bebop and Rocksteady. I guess depends on who you ask. Some people say they had to pay for the rights. Some people say they didn't. But Eastman and Laird wanted to come up with brand new bad guys, and they actually came up with. Here's the funny part: is if you go and find out about this movie, Eastman and Laird did a lot more of the development of the story than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought they had a lot more creative control going into it than they ended up finding out, because that's when the parents groups got involved. Because yes, their version was similar to this, but the difference was that it was more in tone with the first film, and the turtles still use their weapons and all that kind of business. And I can't remember, there was supposed to be another special like lesson they were going to learn. Oh yes, I remember what it is now. Okay, because it had directly to do with the violence. It was they were going to learn a new Buddhist ritual where it's basically like instead of killing somebody, you maim them. Instead of maiming someone, you hurt them. Instead of hurting someone, you subdue them. Like, it's this whole like toning down of the violence that you dole out, right? And this was supposed to be an extension of the story from the first film in Raphael and how his anger, and this would then lead into the second film and them not using their weapons as much. And Eastman and Laird knew this was happening, so they kind of had to come up with a story. They came up with their own story version for it, but it was rejected by everybody, and everybody else came in with their own 2 cents. And of course, this guy knew Vanilla Ice, and this guy had this idea, and this person had this idea, and we got to get a kid in the mix. And, you know, it became this, everybody decided they had to put their fucking 2 cents into this thing. And it became a made by committee film. And they had a director who was more than willing to do what they wanted to do. And that being the same guy who directed Bad News Bears too. So, yeah. And yeah, it does suffer from all those things, but I hate giving it a bad rating. So I'm going to stick with you guys on the B, although I would love to put it in the A, but I can never put it there because of the first film, and we'll get to that. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, can I say one more thing that I truly remember from part 2? And it really had nothing to do with Turtles. It's just that commercial, the trailer for that movie with the girl who has like 5 dads and 3 moms because it's like the parents of the kids are divorced.
The movie they changed the title of like 20 times.
Yes.
Originally was Step Kids, and then I think it became Big Girls Don't Cry, I think was the final title. And I think they've even had another one to it now, but yeah.
Because I watched I remember that because I watched the tape, because I got the tape for Christmas. Because that was another thing I truly remember about the movie is that came out at Christmas time, and we saw it in the theaters, and I was like super pumped to get the VHS tape, and I watched it so many times, and I remember that dang trailer, seeing it 100 times and fast forwarding it, and then never actually seeing the movie. I've never actually seen the movie. But go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember too, because that trailer was actually in front of the movie in theaters as well. And it used the song Free by, I forget the name of the group. But yeah, speaking of, this is something, Christmas. Well, this is the Christmas trailer for the Ninja Turtle 2 tape. I think every kid got this movie for Christmas that year.
I did.
It's probably New Line Cinema's biggest selling video of all time until Lord of the Rings, I bet.
I still got this tape.
I got the poster for
Ninja
it.
Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, a perfect holiday gift, rated PG.
Yeah, it's $22.95. Imagine that. Yeah, no, I still have that VHS tape. I still have that exact one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we've picked a good place for that. And then we got some super chats in the meantime. Jason Webster says, I really like TMNT 1990. I don't know anybody who really doesn't. And then Jason Webster sends in another 5 Australian. Says, as I love Japanese culture and history, I want film adaptations of Usagi Yojimbo. Yeah, I'm pissed that we still haven't got him in any of the movies or something like I was upset he wasn't in part 3 when I was a kid, especially Grass Cutter. Also, Usagi Yojimbo TMT crossovers. Exactly. Yeah. I thought part 3 would have been a perfect place to bring him in. Dead Man says, one time me and my buddy were jamming on my porch when we saw Pizza Lurvy show up. My friend brought up TMNT and I improvised the song on guitar. That's cool. Like the original TMNT song. That's awesome. Awesome, Dead Man. And thank you guys for the support. We appreciate that here. It helps keep the show going and gives us a reason to do it beyond just our own personal business. Because we have to watch films like Mutant Mayhem, which I don't know if I'm probably the only one here who's seen the piece of shit. That's the next one on our list from last year or the year before that, whatever it was, 2020, 1, 2, whatever. I don't even know. Fucking Seth Rogen and his goddamn bullshit. We're still getting a sequel. Fuck you, Rogen. Get away from my turtles. Yeah.
Darkwing Duck too.
I'm Darkwing Duck. Well, at least we know you got the original voice for that. So
Yeah.
Jim Cummings had already said he's going to be doing it. So
yeah, I haven't seen it. I will be honest with you, I have not seen it. I saw the trailer for it. Didn't interest me 2 cents. Once I hear the name Seth Rogen and John Cena, I'm kind of out. So,
that's a good policy.
Yeah. So I can't really speak on it, but I would say F. Just from what I have seen of it.
Nick,
I never saw Mutant Mayhem. I had a feeling it was gonna be a disaster. I do know that my oldest daughter saw it and she hated it. And she said, "Dad, why does Splinter act weird?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't watch the movie. You tell me, why does he act weird?" It's like he doesn't act all serious and like a dad teacher thing. I was like, "Well, sounds like Splinter is written out of character. That's what they call it, being out of character." And yeah, he said that it was not funny at all. And she watched this when she was 9, 10 now. And she's 11 now. It's already been that fast since it came out. Yeah, she was not a fan. So I'm using her opinion. She was not a fan, and it was something that should never exist. She called it icky.
I think I remember you saying that now. Yeah, where do I begin with this piece of shit? Wow. This movie is ADHD the movie. Like, first of all, the turtles are constantly talking over each other and they think that that's a cool thing. Like, yes, I get it. That's the way teenagers kind of are. But as an audience, guess what? It's annoying as fuck. And the turtles, the first thing they do in the movie is steal shit.
Seriously?
They don't leave money for it or anything. No, they steal food and shit. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is kind of what the Foot Clan does.
Yeah.
It just leads from food to fucking Sonys and
Walkmans and TVs.
TVs and shit. Yeah.
Cigarettes.
And skateboards and whatever else. Like, this is not cool. And then fucking Splinter, who is like, I don't know, Jackie Chan plays Splinter for whatever God knows reason. Because now he's Chinese instead of Japanese.
Okay.
Teaches them from a fucking video. And yeah, so that's just the setup of it all. And then basically it's a ripoff of the 2007 film, and everybody argues with me, but I'm like, no, it's basically the same fucking concept at the end of the day. Instead of monsters, it's mutants. Yeah. And it's a way to kind of introduce all these random playmates of characters that most didn't even make the shows. And then you get this gay relationship between Scumbug and fucking Splinter for no good fucking reason. And April is a fat black chick now for no good fucking reason, and she's 12.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I see the picture. Oh god.
It has very little to no, I feel, and the thing is I've even gotten into it with people like Yellow Flash, even though he doesn't really defend the film per se. He's like, oh, it wasn't as bad. Like, dude, this goes so against any of the lore canon. Like, this feels like a fucking Airplane the movie version of Ninja Turtles from people who, and this is basically what I said at the time as my review. This movie feels like people who made a Ninja Turtles movie who have no idea what Ninja Turtles is, but it's like what my parents thought Ninja Turtles were. Right? Because when we grew up, like, everybody thought Ninja Turtles was the dumbest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, for those who may not have been alive at that point, you got to understand, people were like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah. I mean, I know we think about that now, but that was the good days of nerd culture, though. You know what I mean? It's like, we enjoyed it so much, we loved it, but like there was people who was like, what are you even into? What does
they didn't understand? It's the point. Look at the parodies, right? Like, look at the hundreds of parodies we got of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to kind of show you what most people thought they were compared to what they really were. And even Eastman and Laird would admit that, yeah, they started as a joke, but they, morphed or mutated, for a lack of a better term, actually, into what they became. And that was really because they lifted a lot of the lore from Daredevil. Yes. And I know Nick knows what I'm talking about there. Instead of, stick, it was Splinter. Instead of the hand, it was the foot. Mm-hmm. And so on and so forth. So, like, yeah.
When did you find out about the Daredevil lore stuff when it was connected? I didn't find out actually till I was in high school.
Probably, yeah. I see, funny enough, and then I know this is kind of like holy shit kind of nerd thing. I didn't even know who the fuck Daredevil was until a couple years before the movie.
Uh-huh.
And I was made aware of Daredevil through Kevin Smith and Howard Stern.
Yeah, that makes sense. He was on that show at the time
because they were talking about Daredevil and how Daredevil was, and how
Marvel
Daredevil.
Knights.
Yes, I became aware of it when he started writing it, and then they were talking about it on one of his shows, and Dan and Howard Stern had said that Daredevil was his favorite comic book character and shit like that. So between those incidences is kind of how I discovered who that fucking character was, and little did I know the connection until that time, right? Like I never kind of knew it. And then when you see and I kind of put it together, 2 and 2 together. And then of course I researched, and we didn't have the internet quite well. Maybe we did by that time, but it wasn't what the internet is now. Does that make sense? So yeah, like you didn't have Google where you could just go, "Hey Google, is this true?"
Yeah, I did. Go ahead.
No, Mutant Mayhem is garbage. It has nothing about it that has anything to do with Ninja Turtles. It feels like nothing but a.
Before you round it up, I got a guesser who wants to put her 2 cents in on Mutant Mayhem. And how
she still think it's icky?
Do you still think it's icky?
It was awful.
Wow, she's matured. She went from icky to awful.
Yeah.
I hated it.
That's a kid talking.
Yeah, that's the audience for it. So that tells you right there, man.
Well,
No,
I knew.
it's one of the worst things I've ever watched. I can't even lie on that. It's one of the worst things I've ever watched.
She talks just like you. That's kind of freaky.
You got good taste like your dad.
Yeah.
It was like, it sounds like Nick, but it's a little girl. This is weird.
Yeah, she's got good taste in things. It's pretty great. She likes pizza like me, and she likes Ninja Turtles.
That or just says that Nick is as mature as a 12-year-old.
I only like the 2012 show. I'm actually wearing a shirt that has the 2012 characters on it.
Well, you also
Well,
have
there
a
you go.
1990 movie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've read some comics now too.
Yeah,
You've
I
read
know.
some comics. You're gonna read Saturday Morning Adventures next.
I will.
So, yeah. But
Wow.
I wanted you to have your input on this because we figured you'd have valuable input on that because of your experience. Because you saw that and I didn't.
You only brought me down because you knew I would agree with you that it's an awful show.
Well, you actually seen it. I actually have no stake in this.
I love
You
how
have
she
more
just
than I
narked
do.
you out.
Huh? You've seen New Man. I haven't. I never
know.
saw it. You
I
did.
know.
So your opinion's actually more valuable than mine.
The Mutant Mayhem series, actually, I started watching an episode, and then me and my sister were both like, okay, we should turn this off now because it's awful.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for
Okay.
your input.
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you.
Say
Okay.
bye. Say bye to everyone.
Thank
To
you.
Chad. Bye to Tom and Greg.
All right, bye. I'm gonna
That
go
was
not
sweet.
watch a terrible show.
Thank you so much for your insights. We appreciate it.
So girls are all the same. I could tell. The little girl I have has an attitude and a half on her. It's just so frustrating sometimes. So it's like
You
so they're
brought
all
me
the
down
same.
here because you knew I'd agree with you.
It's never a dull moment at Wiserland.
All right. So we also got another super chat from Eric Wimberg. Tom loves them all the same.
I like turtles.
Well, turtles. Yes. The movies, not so much. Because, Mutant Mayhem, definitely an F, and I didn't see anybody really disagree with us. I think I saw one D in the chat, and
Really?
they're just probably being nice. Okay, so here's a movie. I started throwing shit at my television when I watched it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Talk about a movie that feels like an ex-girlfriend that never got the point that you didn't like her in the first place, trying so fucking hard to get your attention. That's what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bitch, I don't care what you wear. We're not fucking tonight.
You come back here all changed, trying to be like something that I like, and you're just not. You're not.
Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, because I know some people actually don't hate this movie. In fact, Andre and I get into it all the time. Like, not get into it, but I give him shit about it, and he accepts it because he knows it's a piece of shit movie. He actually liked this movie. And one of his earliest videos, I think, is giving it a good review. And I remember saying from the start, I'm like, I respect you except for that. Like, how the fuck can you give Out of the Shadows a good review? So, okay, Greg, have you even seen it?
Yes, I've seen this one. I will say it's an F. It's an F. I did like Bebop and Rocksteady in this, even though they're not quite what I want them to be.
Probably the highlight. You're not wrong.
Yeah, they're probably the best part of the movie. I do remember, like, because I've seen both the Michael Bay ones, and it is a bit of like a change where, like, well, let's see if we can sort of take what we created, but also slip in, try to make it like the Ninja Turtles.
I'll give it credit. It's unlike Mutant Mayhem. It knows its source material. It's just trying to do. It's like when like when you try to take like an old song and remake it, and it just doesn't quite click. I see what you're trying to do, but it's like,
yeah.
I'll give you an E for effort, but you're going to get an F overall probably still or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And then, I mean, like, talk about bad casting all around. Like, what's his name? Stephen Amell as Casey Jones. He's not even playing Casey Jones. He's playing Green Arrow.
No, he was just Green Batman.
Yeah, he's Green Batman. That's legitimately who he's playing in the movie. And the sports car and everything. It's like this isn't even Casey Jones at all, not even in the slightest. And then Megan Fox was a bad choice for April O'Neil from the beginning. I don't care what she looks like. So it was. I mean, I would give it. Like you said, I'll give it E for effort because they tried in the second movie to right the ship. They really did, but it was too little, too late, and it was like I was already done with you the moment you walked in the door. So,
and whose idea was to have what's his face from Everybody Loves Raymond do the voice of fucking Krang?
Oh yeah, Brad Garrett. I forgot about
Brad
that.
Garrett. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you, Tails. If anything, he should have been playing one of either Rocksteady or Bebop. And I'm like, how hard is it to get like Steve Buscemi or something like that to play Krang?
Right.
Like he'd have been perfect.
It would have been.
You didn't even really have to do anything. You just put him in pink makeup.
Just do his face. All you gotta do is put a black screen behind him and just film his face and pink makeup on.
Yeah. And I mean, Shredder just became a robot. Like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah.
I honestly, look, I get it how some people liked they were Bebop and Rocksteady in looks only.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say, because they did not act anything like Bebop and Rocksteady. They were more like hip hop and Rocksteady. Because they were acting all gangsta and motorcycle-esque and shit. And I get it, it's a newer kind of take and newer spin on the characters, but to me, I'm used to the we're gonna get you titles. Yeah, that's Bebop and Rocksteady to me. I don't know, like just idiots. Yes. Fucking numbskulls. Yeah. And then they kind of still were, but it was just kind of this take on them that was like, what the fuck? Nick, it sounded like you had seen this too, so what do you think? And would you say, Greg, a F or a D, or what'd you say? You didn't really specify.
F. I give it an F.
Okay, yeah. Nick, what about you?
I'm gonna give it an F as well. I know we're pretty much gonna be in lockstep on this, but I remember watching this and I was already like weirded out by the fact that Stephen Amell got casted for Casey Jones. I'm like, he doesn't have long hair. He doesn't seem to act like Casey Jones. He's being Green Batman. And for those who don't understand the reference, when they did the original show Arrow from the CW, the Arrow show is basically a shameless ripoff of trying to do the Nolan Batman, but for Green Arrow, except he was just called The Arrow because they were afraid of superhero names that had the color in the name. So he basically acted like Green Batman, aka the Arrow of the CW. That's where it comes from. And yeah, like Greg, Bebop and Rocksteady were cool. I can't stand Megan Fox's April. I can't stand her to save my life. I can't stand her. She drives me crazy in this movie. I can't stand it. And the movie overall is just, it's not an entertaining watch. I could barely even remember a few things out of it. Outside of how horrendous some of the characters were story-wise, I couldn't remember a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
He said F. Now,
F.
what you gonna...
I was gonna say, was it Tyler Perry in this one?
Yes, which is sad because he's almost
guy.
And he does look like Baxter Stockman from the comics.
Yeah, yeah.
But all of a sudden, he's like fucking Bill Nye Baxter Stockman guy. It's like, who the fuck is this? What is going on here? And he's like doing this whole Robin Williams bit throughout the movie or something. And he's just like, wow.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, okay.
Medea's up in this motherfucker just making mutants.
Once again, E for effort, because I know Tyler Perry is actually a fan of the Ninja Turtles, and that's the only reason he took the job, was because he was a huge actual fan of
Then I blame the writing and directing, because my god. Because you're not wrong. Like, look-wise, yeah, like I could. He looks just like he does in the comics. Perfect casting, great. He's a character actor. He can pull something out. What he pulled out was like fucking like. Did he just get done watching like The Fifth Element? And he's like, I'm gonna base my Baxter Stockman on Chris Tucker from The Fifth Element, because that's what he come off as, is like just like completely flaming, just crazy fucking whatever. And they took the stupid to the extreme in this movie compared to the first one. And that's where, yeah, to me, I can't even. Yeah, and wasn't he trying to be more like a Neil deGrasse Tyson in the end, too? Like, that was what he said his inspiration was. And I'm like, I don't see that.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I mean, I think that's basically, like, the character is kind of, like, supposed to be like. But, yeah. Anyhow, I think it belongs there.
Yeah, it belongs in the F.
Now, here's a movie that is probably the most widely debated of the Ninja Turtle films. So many people prejudge this movie on the special effects alone, and the Kyoto brothers have actually apologized for how poor the effects came out of this film. Because they said, first of all, we weren't given a fraction of what the Henson Company got. Right?
Right.
Secondly, they were so busy with like so many different projects that they didn't get to give it the attention they wish they had. And that was the excuses, or at least I hate using that term, but that's the reasoning behind the look of the Ninja Turtles in Part 3. Because New Line went cheap. instead of giving Henson Company, yeah, and it shows.
Yeah.
And then you have the story, which is widely debated, because the Turtles actually go through time. Now, in the comic lore and other lores of the Turtles, it's not out of the realm of... In fact, this is one of the more normal things they have done. Like, I shit you not, kids, they travel around the universe in a cow's head in the Archie series. I'm not making this up.
I know.
Now, all that shit said, my problems with this movie have less to do with any of the things I just said and more to do with Corey fucking Feldman. Because, yay, we get Corey Feldman back as Donatello because he's out of fucking rehab. But he has the worst lines throughout the entire fucking film. And every line dates the movie so badly, and it isn't even funny.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, I just stepped on a frog. I hope it wasn't an ancestor.
Yeah. Oh God, I remember that. That was bad.
And then there's like a bunch of humanoid turtles or samurai turtles. It's like, what are you expecting? The Addams Family? And what's sad is those were in every fucking trailer. And the worst one yet, ladies and gentlemen, Schwing. And what's worse with that is Leo is the one doing it with him. And Leo acts almost the most out of fucking character in this movie.
That's something Michelangelo should be saying, not Leo.
And even then, still, that was the only real time besides the first movie where they had where they kind of had this quasi weird crush thing with April, where it didn't go into weird territory, which we'll get into more when we get to TMNT 2014. This is the only time they really kind of cross that line with the swing line. But it dates the movie so badly because it's right on the heels of Wayne's World.
Yes.
Right? Like that's the only reason it's in there. Now, those things aside, I don't mind that. I don't hate the movie. It's actually a fun movie overall. Like I said, it plays into this idea that, the comics have played with them going back and forth through time to, and the whole samurai turtle thing. And I love the whole Kappa storyline and Raphael's relationship with Yoshi's ancestor. And it also, the other weird part of the movie is Michelangelo's obsession with what's her face, the chick, because it's like that also crosses in the weird territory of like, bitch, she ain't gonna fuck you, you're a turtle.
Yeah.
Like that's where it kind of gets weird too, because like, and it even gets weirder in the book and the comic because they actually chopped some of that out. Believe it or not.
Wow.
There's like a whole other 2 scenes of those two like just hanging out and having like this quasi weird romantic kind of scenes together. In fact,
Teenage first love.
one of the scenes I'm actually kind of upset they didn't have, because in this movie they actually let them use their weapons a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the scenes is actually kind of funny because not only does Michelangelo invent pizza in this time period, remember, he also invents nunchucks. So in one of the scenes, he's hanging out with her and he's observing that they're using these tools to pull the rice off the rice, what do you call them, stalks or whatever. And they're basically nunchucks. He's like, oh yeah, you guys got nunchucks. And they're like, what? And they're like, he's like, yeah, nunchucks. And he starts whipping them around and shit. And everybody's like, oh, what is he doing? Like crazy because they've never seen him before.
Yeah.
Used that way anyway. So like that was kind of the whole thing. So Mikey invented pizza and nunchucks. Some others, like that was kind of ongoing little joke in the movie that didn't make its way through the entire film. But we have a guest joining us, somebody I've never had on the channel before, but I'm very glad to have here, Mo Zamboni.
Hello.
We've got to hang out a few times over on Drunk's show, but I'm glad you got to join us here on the tier list.
Oh, totally. I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
and welcome
fan.
to all the Valiant Renegade Raiders. Thank you.
Huge raid.
So we're on part 3 right now. So yeah, Nick and Greg, did you get to comment on it? Kind of, I think you did, right?
Oh, on the shows we on 3.
No, you didn't. I just kind of started.
Not.
I just didn't. We didn't get to. Yeah, it was me rambling. That's what I wanted to know.
It's okay.
Since Mo just joined us, though, let's start with him. How did you feel about Ninja Turtles 3, and where would you rate it? And then we'll go from the bottom up.
Well, it's something that I need to rewatch at this point. But when it came out, 1 was amazing, 2 was amazing, and 3. Whether it was because of the storyline or because of the animatronics, which were really wonky in number 3, like they looked way different than 1 and 2. I was let down, but I still enjoyed it. I just felt like it was a bad 3rd sequel, but it was still a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot, but I was expecting a lot more from the series. That's my thoughts on 3.
So where would you rank it in the A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D, F?
Well, I mean, if we're putting Secret of the Ooze on 2, and we're not factoring in Vanilla Ice, it'd have to be a C. I don't think it's horrible. I just don't think it can hold a candle to the first 2 movies.
C is fair. Greg?
Yeah, I would give it a C too, because I did like the fact that they brought back Casey Jones. I like that they it's
him and the honor guards or whatever they're called were the fucking best part of the movie.
Yeah, they're great in the movie. Yes,
let me introduce you guys to hockey.
Okay. Yes. So that's great in the movie. Yeah, I just got to say C, because there's altogether it's just like with like that you mentioned with the Kyoto brothers not having the money and not really focusing on the turtles and the storyline in general, and some of the weird territory he goes into with like turtle human relations and stuff like that. Yeah, I got to give it a C, but it does feel like in that era of like Surf Ninjas and the Three Ninjas and stuff, so it kind of feels like
it is probably the better of those films. You're not wrong.
I mean, I love Surf Ninjas, don't get me wrong, I do, but it does feel like it was trying to fit in that type of era. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give this a C. I'm gonna have to give it a C on that.
Nick.
TMNT 3. I'm gonna be a little less generous. I like the toys and the concepts of the movie, but the actual movie itself gets a D. I love the toys, I love the suits, the costumes, but the movie gets a D. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna be with this one. D. I love the toys. The toys around this. I remember I used to have some of the OGs of when they came out. I'm going to get some of the reissues, and I can't wait. But man, did I love the toys. I love the figures from this way. It made me forgive a lot of the movie. Even though I didn't hate the movie, I was just kind of like, I wasn't wild about it. But man, the toys were rocking at this time. Oh boy, they were on a stride with the toys.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I remember the toys being the best part of the movie.
Oh,
So,
straight up.
yeah.
And you all, that was always a good way to save a movie when you were a kid. The movie was just average, but the toys were kick ass. Bro, you can forgive a whole lot of shit when the toys are killer. And that was a very familiar scenario for me a lot of times, is when I enjoyed the toys.
Yep. This is the best part. I mean, it's like you said, it's something to look forward to when the movie isn't as great as you want it to be. Because at least you can like take the toys and make your own story, right?
Straight up. Oh, dude, you damn
Even
right,
Lord
man.
Nornaga got his own toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Probably one of the most boring figures to ever come out of the fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line.
That's like the equivalent of Lobot getting a figure. You remember Lobot from the Empire Strikes Back, Lando's right hand man?
Yeah.
Who gets it's that like getting those types of figures is like when your mom's like, oh yeah, your aunt got you a gift. I told her that you like Star Wars.
$12 out of the box.
And then she gets you a Lobot figure. And that's the equivalent of this. Oh, I hear you like Ninja Turtles. You're like, oh, this is what I got.
It's so bad. That looks like the guy. That looks like the guy who played Fredo in Godfather with like samurai gloves. I'm smart.
I'm smart. I know stuff.
I'm smart.
Oh shit! You know what's even better yet is Walker got one too. Talk about boring fucking toys. It's like, what the fuck is this Musketeer doing in the fucking Ninja Turtles show? But here he is. Yeah, you got Lord Nornaga and you got Walker as toys. Shit, you know, and these aren't even these aren't newer ones either. These are like from back in the day. See?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I mean, obviously,
packaging.
look at that plastic. That's
Exactly, yeah.
I remember loving the art on those packagings. That was a big sell. I look at the front, the back, and when they had the cutouts of the cards on the back of the information, like lore-based stuff. I cut out all of those. I cut out all those and saved them. And that was when at Walmart were like $3-4 and things were actually being made in America at Walmart more so than it is now. It's a big deal to go to Walmart then and get those figures.
Walker is actually a pretty bad guy if you think about it. I mean, he's bringing guns to feudal Japan. He's facilitating war and murder and maiming and killing and He's a despicable individual. I mean, it's not like all Shredder did was teach kids to steal.
Just wanted some cigarettes and some TVs.
This guy's a fucking arms dealer and shit. Like, turtles are kind of moving up in the world a little bit.
Shredder's like, I'll give you a home. I'll be a daddy. Just steal this guy's stuff for me.
Oh shit! And the Clint Eastwood line still gets me. Is that Clint Eastwood? No. When he comes in on the horse. So all right, where would you put it, Nick? You said D, I think you said. I think he stepped away. But yeah, you guys both said C, and honestly, I've already did my spiel on it. I remember going to see this opening day with my brother, and we were the only two individuals in the theater, and that was when I kind of knew, Ninja Turtles is done.
You know what the most remarkable part about that movie is it brought Tarzan Boy back into.
It did.
It was so
Which is
good.
kind of weird.
I've
It was
never
like,
heard
what?
that song before. I grew up in the 80s.
Actually, I
did
did.
You, Tom, but yeah,
I did on the Listerine commercials because it was like 2-3 years before that. The Listerine commercials had brought it back. And then all of a sudden, here it is on the fucking Ninja Turtles soundtrack. And then that's when I found out the song was like 10 years old already. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But yeah, it was a song that barely charted back in the 80s, and they brought it back through that commercial in this movie, and I think it charted higher during, I'm pretty sure it did chart higher during this movie soundtrack release than it did in its original release.
It really did. It was, I just remember, I'm like, I see all the Japanese guys that swap places with the turtles, and I'm like, they're having a lot of fun at the bar. I want to go to a bar someday. You know, it was like a bad influence. It looked really fun.
All right, let's keep moving along here. We got the 07 animated TMNT movie from the Weinstein Company, which is actually mostly beloved by the fans. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate it. I don't like it though. I love moments, but I think it's one of the weakest of the stories because the whole gotta collect the monsters is very Pokemon-esque, and Patrick Stewart is the bad guy, turns out to be kind of a non-bad guy, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It was just like the rain fight scene with Leo and Raph is the highlight. Let's be real.
Yeah, I remember. I mean,
And the
it's been
CGI
long
looked
now.
amazing for the time, actually. It looked really, really damn good.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember not hating it completely and
Yeah.
not thinking it was like not like it was a horrible movie. I thought it was a pretty decent watch. Like you said, the fight between Leo and Raph is probably the best part. At least they got April somewhat right in this movie, and Casey
Yeah.
Jones a little bit. Was this the one with Chris? Was it
Chris Evans as Casey
Yeah.
Jones, yes.
Yes.
And you had Sarah Michelle Gellar as
Sarah
April
Michelle
O'Neil.
Gellar,
as
Yep.
April. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you said, I think by the time with this movie is like by the time this came out, I was already like I was an adult. I was full grown and
Well,
everything, and so
it
I
also was
wasn't
cool
into
that
it as much as I was before.
I like, the problem is like the first 10 minutes are probably the best part of the movie besides the Raph Leo fight, which is the problem is that, yeah, because the first 10 minutes is like, the beauty of the film is it is basically a sequel to whatever version of the Turtles that you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have the little Easter eggs for the movies and a few other things in there, but mainly the movies, that it is kind of supposed to be, because that's what I like about the beginning is it starts off, the Turtles are adults. They're not teenagers anymore. And they have real lives as adults now. And that kind of kicks things off in an interesting way, but then it starts turning into a kiddie cartoon kind of movie before long. And then you get that bitchin' fight on the fucking rooftop between Raph and Leo, which is kind of the fight that most people have been waiting for forever. Cause these two have been butting heads since the first movie.
Yeah.
And that actually was one of the few things that bled into the comics and cartoon after the fact. Most people don't realize that because my memory is they did not have a real at odds thing in the comics. It was just that Raph was just more of a loner. Is really what it was.
But that makes sense because Leonardo is the leader of the.
He would want to keep them all together, and absolutely.
And Raph was so eloquently, I know we're getting to the movie here soon, was so well portrayed in the first movie.
Yeah.
It was the first live action movie. It's so good. But yeah, no, it's basically, like I thought TMNT was a good movie, but it played like a bottle episode for a TV show.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't trying to offend anybody. It was just
or
like, here,
pilot.
have some fun.
Yeah.
It was a good popcorn movie. That's all.
Yeah. Nick, it kind of sounded like you liked it a lot, or at least.
I am going to be the most ambitious one on the panel. I'm going to give this one an A. The only issue I have with this is the arc of the Winters character that Patrick Stewart voiced.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I really enjoy this. The stuff involved with Karai, the fights with the monsters, and Leonardo on his journey, and then the fact that they play it off it's almost like a spiritual sequel to the three movies. I love the voice work of all the characters involved. I thought that the relationship of April and Casey was really well on display here. I really enjoy TMNT, and I even rewatched it recently, and I can say I love it more now than I did then. At the time, I probably gave it like a 7 out of 10, and that would probably be the equivalent of like a C++. But now I'm gonna go with a rank around 90% nowadays. So this one absolutely aged beautifully for me, and it's a shame that this one didn't do as well as it should. It did okay at the time, but it should have done so much better. I'm so happy to say I saw this one in the theater opening night, and I saw it the next day. That's how much I liked it. I saw it 2 days in a row.
And I think I think TMNT suffered from the fact that it was during an era where everybody was spoiled and they just expected everything to be amazing. Like it was a good movie that was released around great movies, and I think people just didn't give it the respect it deserved at the time.
I think where I was at that point, it really, because to me, like my biggest issue was the things that y'all just said, because I don't hate it, and you kind of convinced me, Nick, that it probably does deserve to be a little higher on the ranking than I probably would have put it. So spoilers, it's probably going to wind up in B. But my biggest issue was it felt like it was a step back because we went from live action to CG animated.
Yes, I do agree with that.
And what bothered me is I'm watching the rain scene. Like you look at that rain scene and it feels so advanced for CG animated films at that time. Like it's almost so photorealistic that it's like it almost made me wish that they had just done a live action mixed with CG Turtles movie. At that point, I'm like, it would have been more badass had they just gone that route, because these guys look so photorealistic here that what took me out of the movie is every time we'd get into the monster stuff and the Patrick Stewart story, or actually see any humans, because the humans actually looked more cartoony than the turtles did. Like that was my issue. Was like, it kind of felt like we're taking a step back here to the more kiddie oriented stuff, to where for every step forward they took in the plus side, it took a step back. So that's kind of where I was going to go with a C, but Nick convinced me. He is right. The characters were spot on. Outside of Patrick Stewart's character, and again, what were they going to do other than maybe another Shredder story, or what we should have got, which was the Rat King anyway.
Yes,
that's one story.
And they had set it up perfectly for a sequel. And Mecha J brings up a great point in the chat, said that there was going to be a sequel, but the studio closed down that made the movie, so it's clear it didn't get
Imagi or whatever they were called. Yeah.
I was so disappointed because I was with a girlfriend at the time, and I think this is when she started to really see my geekdom come out. So she probably thought I had some really fucked up problems, because I was obsessed with, say, a movie about turtles 2 days straight. She said I never talked about wanting to see a movie twice in 2 days. All it takes was some Ninja Turtles. So I think that was when the state of our relationship was starting to be in the downward spiral of things. But hey, she's no longer in the picture for a reason.
And yes, Vidiot Savant, in some ways it's less kiddie than Secret of the Ooze, but in other ways it's even more kiddie. That was my issue. Right? It had too much conflicting.
The overall story arc is not, but there's the stuff with Michelangelo. He is definitely very over the top.
Well, the monsters themselves were very kiddie oriented, in my opinion.
They are, but I love the monsters. I loved seeing those creatures.
They felt like something out of like Lilo and Stitch and shit, though. Like I felt kind of.
I was thinking more of the Eastman layered OG comics, because they had their share of monsters at the time.
I just felt like, what's the use of having monsters when you have mutants?
True, but they have all sorts of enemies like that, and it was cool for me because I was seeing other characters, getting utilized, not just Shredder and the Krang and Baxter Stockman. It was cool to have,
and that's
monsters like that, having Karai involved. For me, that was cool because that's when I was starting to get deeper into the TMNT.
That's why I think I agree with you. It belongs probably in the B, and the audience is kind of saying the same thing for the most part too. So, all right, let's get into the gritty nitty. Now, this was one that I remember. This is the last time I ever remember anybody ever actually giving a shit about a Ninja Turtle movie coming out. And it was more about the fact that they were going to go with the Ninja Turtles are aliens.
Yes.
Now, the thing was, and what kind of weird about it is if you actually went with the script and if you kind of go with the idea that, yes, technically the mutagen does come from outer space or from Dimension X, however you want to look at it. So that part is believable, but that's only in certain kind of lores, I guess, if you wanted to go that direction. But that was the least of this movie's problems. The movie itself I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me or not. It's not good. It's not good by far. But as a Ninja Turtle movie, it's not horrible. It does adhere to some things, but it makes so many fucking mistakes, and it crams April into every nook and cranny it fucking can.
Oh,
And let's be real, the biggest problem is A, the fact that the turtles look like mutated Shrek monsters, and B, that Michelangelo talks about getting a boner for April O'Neil and won't quit hitting on her. I get it, she's Megan fucking Fox, but you look like Shrek, dude. No way is she gonna fuck you. So anyhow, like, yeah, this is D or F at best for me. Mo, go ahead and have fun with Michael Bay's produced TMNT.
Yeah, the irony is she would not fuck him, but she would definitely make one of her kids look like him. Aside from that, Michael Bay has only ever helped one franchise with one movie, that's Transformers. I don't want to go deep into that rabbit hole. I thought it was great. Just wrote a review on it on Criticlist. But as far as the movie, the only saving grace of the entire movie is the elevator ride up to the top to the final battle with Shredder. They actually showed,
and I wasn't even as bamboozled by that as everybody else was. I thought,
I thought it was good. I thought it was
the most
really
turtle
good
thing in the whole movie. You're not
yes,
wrong.
and it was really good. But the rest of the movie just doesn't support it. The opening cinematic, the quote unquote animation comic, and I'm sorry.
And who the fuck thought it was a good idea to have Whoopi Goldberg play what's his face, the head of Channel 6? I just forgot his name.
Yeah, exactly. That's how good
yeah,
that movie
I didn't
was.
forget.
I don't
remember.
I'm having I want to say Marv, but it's not Marv. It's something. It's God. Because yeah, what's his face as shit.
Yeah, what was the name? We're old.
yes, we
Burn, not
Burn.
Burn. Yeah,
Old,
Burn,
or do we
Burn.
just not care about that movie
Well,
that much?
Yeah.
Problem is, I know these characters because that was the thing, is they took most of them from the fucking original cartoon. Because yeah, like Vern is in the cartoon. Will Arnett's character is Vern. He was all right, but he was like miscast as Vern. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was cool to see some of these characters pop up, but they were not really the character. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like off, kind of like what happened with Casey Jones in the second one, right? Like they're not that version of the original character. So yeah, Whoopi is burnt. What the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
this is horrible.
And that whole scene drives me nuts with her. She has fucking pictures and she doesn't fucking show her, but she's trying to convince her about these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and shit. It's like, oh my God, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, just show her the fucking pictures. And then whose bright ass idea was it to have Johnny Knoxville do the voice of Leonardo?
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Hey, I don't blame Johnny. All right, get your bag while you can. But seriously,
Did they replace him in the second one?
I mean, if anything, he should have played Michelangelo or Raph.
Mm-hmm.
Raph would have been the obvious choice.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. As far
Leo,
as
though, like
no, Leo should be played with reverence. He's supposed to be a fish out of water. He's supposed to be like the most quote unquote Japanese of the entire bunch because he respects Splinter so much. Like putting Johnny Knox, it was Michael Bay was out of his element at that point. He had a good run for a little while. But
I mean, Brian Toshi was perfect as Leo. I mean, I don't know if like that's the thing. Once we get to the next movie, I mean, that's the problem. You have that so ingrained in your memory that this movie does not live up to it on so many standards.
Yeah, I don't even know if it would be an F. I would put it there. I would say it's like a D minus. Like it's like it whatever grade it is that the teacher gives you to stay out of summer school. That's what that movie is.
The only reason I don't think I can give it an F myself is just because Mutant Mayhem and Out of the Shadows are worse. right? Like that's my bar here. Like it's
your bar is there's no nuts or corn in this turd.
Yeah, it's not as bad as those other two.
So
right?
put it in the D then.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know if you were listening at the time, Mo, because I compared Out of the Shadows to that ex-girlfriend that you never really loved and just didn't get the hint, but she's trying extra hard now to get your attention, and it's just coming off as more annoying. This movie is the fucking mistake the night you fucked her. That's what this is. It wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to you. The thing that happened afterwards was.
I knew she had an itchy crotch.
Yeah, you got crabs, and she thinks she's pregnant.
Yeah, there it is. That's the difference.
And you're like, I didn't even come in this bitch. How?
Yeah, the first one is I dodged a bullet there. The second one, Out of the Shadows, is damn, she's having twins. That's like
we're getting a goddamn paternity case here.
Yeah. She was already 2 months pregnant beforehand.
Kalekioki wants me to play the elevator scene. I'll play a few seconds of it because I don't want to get copyright struck or anything. Yeah. They're just so fucking ugly. Like I can't even fucking look at them.
Yeah, like these big old glasses.
I know, and ever since then they've insisted on giving him like goggles or glasses. That's another thing that this movie has done to the TMNT. Like I have not liked that they added all the bandages to them over the years. That does not bother me as much as the glasses, though.
The worse they are. I hate the goggles. I hate the do-rag. It's fucking stupid. Just stop. Simple look. They don't need all these extra armor pieces. They're good for a toy at best. But not for it to be the expectation going forward. Oh, then there's the nerd goggles on Donatello. Oh.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make
That's what I was bitching about was the glasses or the goggles. Yes.
We see it. He shows us when he shows off his smarts, when he breaks down technology, when he talks about science and theories and all that. He shows us that.
It's like they almost went out of their way to make him like almost autistic as well in that movie.
Yeah, it just ends up making it look like a scientific retard.
Yeah, which throws shade at the video game version, the arcade version of Donatello, who is my favorite character because the bow staff, the man could whoop some butt. Or the turtle.
Yeah.
He's got the longest reach.
He can mollywop a bit. I'll tell
Especially
you.
the first game where it really matters. Like you have not, like kids just don't know like the fucking struggle. Like I'm one of those dads that would throw the original Ninja Turtle game at my kid and go, "You beat this, and you can get yourself a PS5 or something like that." You know, because
my boy Donnie right there.
I know there's no fucking way.
Undertaker, right
I know there's no fucking way that.
Cool.
That fucking my kid's gonna beat TMNT, and I'm definitely not gonna tell him to use Donnie because that's the secret trick, right?
No, go ahead and get Raphael. Have no reach.
You save Donnie as much as possible because you're gonna need him.
Oh, the original game. Oh, don't even get.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the other games you're not wrong too.
The electric plants underneath the dam. I still haven't played that game to that day because of that.
That's because, like I said, there's parts you cannot really get through without Donnie. So like you have to conserve him for specific parts. Like
to hit those the fire legs on the second level, you can hit them with. I hate that game.
And I was also one of those fuckers who didn't know you could just walk across the one bit. The dirty bastards. It's like they did it on purpose. It's like let's see how many kids we can piss off with these games. Nowadays they make games too easy because that's what I remember I used to joke with my kid about all the time. It's like you wouldn't know what to do with like Galaga or Donkey Kong or Pac-Man. You'd fucking freak. You wouldn't know how to handle it because these games basically play for you now.
I remember playing the Ninja Turtle arcade game and The Simpsons. I think
Yes.
run in the theater before going into the movies back in the day. Man, I'd be playing those games.
We had ours at Chuck E. Cheese, but your pizza, Choco's Pizza. But yeah,
they had the Turtles one and the Simpsons one side by side at the theater where I grew up. Then we would play them all the time before showtime.
Oh my goodness.
We wasted
Not
so many quarters on those games. Yes,
not to get too off track, but the Simpsons arcade game was so
it was
good.
killer. Well, it was basically the Ninja Turtle game with the Simpsons.
Yeah.
It absolutely was.
Which is
But we
also
didn't
the
care
X-Men
because
game,
it was
yeah.
the characters we loved.
Yes, welcome to Die.
That's because they knew exactly, like, they're not gonna fuck with something that works. Like these kids, they knew.
90s
All right,
Konami was amazing. Anyways,
yeah,
sorry.
let's talk about some Ninja Turtles TMNT first movie,
Yeah.
1990, 35th anniversary. Now, before you got in here, Mo, we all told our story of the first film, so you're the only one who hasn't got to tell, your first interaction with the Ninja Turtles film, where you were at, your age, all that business.
Okay, so I was just about to be 10 or about 10. It's hard to tell because not every blockbuster was released in the summer back in the day. And I'm a fall kid. So it was right around when I was about to turn 10. Saw it in the theater and I was in love. It was so good. But on top of that, I love this movie so much. I still have my original Betamax player and I still have my original TMNT Betamax tape. That's how much love I have towards this movie. Is a perfect cast, a almost perfect story, and you know where I'm going with this. It is a very satisfying movie. We talk about people messing with lore and stuff like that. It's an A. I would say it's an S tier if we had one. But the only thing that annoyed me about the movie at the time was the fact that Splinter started as a rat. That's the only thing that pisses me off about this movie. That's not the story. The story was he was a sensei that loved taking care of animals, and he became a rat. You can go both ways with the mutation, and that's my thing. But as far as everything else, it is one of the best movies ever made. One of my favorite scenes from the movie is when they explain the intricacy and the complexity of the characters through April drawing them at the safe house. It's so
that's based off a scene from the
freaking
comics. I think it was.
I was gonna say, I gotta actually correct you, Mo, on one thing.
Mhm.
You're going by the cartoon lore of Yamato Yoshi. In the comics, it's closer to the movies. In fact, they just streamline what's in the comics, because in the comics, it's a big love triangle, and Hamato kills a guy, and his brother is Oroku Saki, who follows him to America to kill him. So it's this really intricate. Yes, it's a very intricate fucking So the version that's in the movie is actually closer to what's in the comic. And yes, his pet rat is actually Splinter. So Splinter and Hamato Yoshi are actually two different characters in the original comic book. So it's kind of like in the cartoon they just mashed them together to be the same. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. I used to love reading the comic book where they all had red eye masks on. By the way,
from the original comic, I can't remember Saki's brother's name, but that was originally what it was, because Saki was in love with the same girl as Hamato Yoshi, and they got into a fight, and he killed Saki's brother, and Saki vowed vengeance, and so he left with Tang Shin. I think they changed the name though. I can't remember what her name was in the original comic, but and then when he got to America, it plays out the same as it does in the movie. He kills him. Splinter gets loose from the cage, runs, finds the turtles. They get oozed, and he remembers watching his master practice ninja all those years, and that's how he taught the turtles.
Right, and here's the problem. If you remember, they used to give out very poor quality VHS tapes with Pizza Hut. You would get the TMNT episodes. Yes, which I loved. And even back then, when I was like, I wasn't even. I was like 9 or 10 years old. I could tell, I'm like, damn, this is awful. Like, this is really bad quality. But you got some of the best episodes of the TMNT cartoon, which is how we got to watch these movies, because we didn't have much money growing up. And I loved it so much. So the cartoon was the holy grail of the series. Like, I had read some of the comics, and I loved how dark they got compared to the cartoon, but I never got so deep as to see that's how that. The original Splinter played out, but I have much more respect for that first movie, given that. Well,
not only that, and one of the first things that Splinter says to the turtles is like, "I've been training you in the ways of ninja so you can kill the Shredder. Like, so he's literally sending them out to kill the Shredder. That's his whole goal. So like it kind of cuts right to the fucking chase in that first comic book. And they do kill the Shredder at the end of the first comic book.
First issue.
He dies almost exactly like because what Nick is saying is true, because they got the script, and this is what's cool about this movie. Steve Barron got the script for the movie, and he looked at it and he goes, "This is a fucking joke, right?" Because for those who don't know, this movie took a really strange journey. It was originally going to be produced by a guy who wanted to make it with comedians such as Sam Kinison, Gallagher, shit like that as the Ninja Turtles.
I'm sorry.
I shit you not. And they wanted to go full on just fucking comedy and all that shit. So the original script was kind of off that shoot of like idea of making it goofy as fuck. And when he saw this shit, he's like, what the fuck? Because he was a fan of the comic. And so he literally threw the original script in the garbage, and he got with his writing partner, and he's like, okay, he took the original 5 comics and started ripping pages out of them. And it just makes me cringe thinking about this now because of how fucking valuable those are.
Yeah.
But he like started ripping pages, and he's like, this is in the movie. This is in the movie. This is in the movie.
Good. He's like, hey, these are the
And so
storyboards.
that writer then took all that
bullshit.
shit that he ripped out, and he kind of spat out the movie, which they switched a few things around, saved Shredder's death a little later in the story, because they don't go to April's farm until like issue 4 or 5, and Shredder's already dead. And
It's a little later in the book. It's actually
it's a lot later, because
issue 8 or
what
9.
happens is the Shredder gets killed, and then I think the Foot revolt against the Turtles again. And so that's when they burn down April's place, and then they leave, because April's not even a reporter in the original comic. She actually works with Baxter Stockman, and there's all that kind of shit that's going on too. So all the Baxter Stockman stuff's gone. They made her a reporter and stuff like that to help that storyline.
Yes.
But they took the farm storyline, they took the Leo storyline where he got beat up by the Foot and replaced him with Raph.
Yes.
So they could mix
Swap
that with the
around.
Raph story with Casey Jones, which is the
Which
other
is
one
smart.
that's almost fucking verbatim what's in the comic.
Yeah,
Like-
there's some of it's even the dialogue
Line
from
for
there.
line,
And
yeah.
they also pulled from I think it took place between issues 5 and 6. There's a Raphael one shot.
That's what I was
that
talking
they
about.
pulled.
Yes, the
Okay,
Raphael
okay.
issue. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that they pulled from there as well.
But the other thing is they added personalities to the Turtles, because the Turtles didn't really have personalities.
No, they did not.
They were really just kind of themselves. Raph was the standout just because he had a little bit more attitude than the rest of them. And that's what I love about, and I almost put Turtles Forever up here as one of the movies. I don't know, people were asking about the Batman one too. I also considered that one, but since both of those were not theatrical, I decided not to. And as you see, we're already talking 90 minutes about these movies. I knew what I was doing.
Right? If you had the shows, we'd been another hour and a half.
Exactly. There you go, brother. That's the second release of
The
it.
second
actually,
release, yeah. I wish I had the original.
or maybe even the third, but yeah.
Season.
But now I forgot where I was
VHS,
going.
it'll never last.
But now I forgot where I was going with that whole thing. But like, yeah. Anyway, no, the first movie was. What was I saying about it? I forgot now. God damn it.
Don't
Sorry.
think about it, and then you'll.
No,
That's all right.
my
We're
train of
all
thought
old.
got
We're
fucked
not gonna
up.
blame you. We don't remember.
No, it's cool. It's cool. But yeah, so like, anyway, so they were making the show and the movie at the same time, and they did adopt some of the things into the show. And I think I remember where I was kind of going with this now. But the comics didn't have any of the personalities, right? So they took the personalities from the show, but they also changed them a little bit, made them a little bit more adult, right? Like, yes, Leo's still the leader. Yes, Donnie's still the nerd. Yes, Mikey's still the party guy. But instead of being their sarcastic one, since that's so similar to Raph, so similar to Mike, they made Raph not just sarcastic, but he's got, kind of the anger issues. And he's a little bit more of the loner, which he kind of was already in the comics. Like I said, he was the only one who kind of really had any established, like, personality. Because otherwise the Turtles didn't eat pizza or anything like that in the comics either. That was the other thing, that the cartoon. So they adopted the colors, the pizza, April's job, and the personalities from the cartoon. Otherwise, it's all pure comic book. So I will argue with most people that besides Superman the movie, TMNT 1990 is one of the most pure comic book adaptations you're going to
Agreed.
find.
Strongly
It is almost
agree
like
with you.
Yeah,
so
100%.
fucking close to the original comic that, and it adapts things from the other stuff that works for it. And not only that, it's since this point on, this has been the set personalities of the Turtles.
Oh
They have
yeah.
not deviated from this. Raph is always the Brooklyn accent, which originated here with Josh
Mhm.
Paez. And he's also the only guy in the costume who also does the voice.
Mhm.
And, you know, like the whole idea, that originated here, and kind of Leo and Raph's riff originated here and shit like that. So like, or it really got exasperated or whatever you want to call it here. I can't remember. I don't think they riffed too much in the comics from my memory. I'd have to go back and look. It's been years, but yeah, it is a fucking phenomenal film. And I don't think anybody's going to argue that it's, you know,
No,
damn near
not
perfect
one
film.
bit. If you got Eagle Eye 2 at Danny's Hideout, there's a kid wearing a Slayer shirt, and there's a other kid wearing a Megadeth shirt too. Of course, I would notice those things for obvious reasons, but they are there.
Yeah.
The kids wearing based off
Well,
the album Rain in Blood.
And it's funny you bring that up because the movie shifted its tone a little bit. You know, we talk about how the second movie got lightened up.
Yes.
This movie technically got lightened up from the original tone.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, go
'cause
look at the
Steve
original
Barron's
black and white issues, man.
Well,
What, East
no.
and
I mean, the
West?
movie itself, because Steve Barron's original cut was much darker.
that
Shredder
cut.
kills a
Okay.
kid.
Yeah.
Tatsu kills a kid.
Mhm.
Like, because the one scene's still in the movie with Tatsu, but they just have off screen. You can hear somebody go, "He'll be all right. He'll be all right." In the original version, that kid dies.
Yeah.
like it is so much darker. Like fucking everybody freaked out when they saw the first cut because it was so fucking dark. They're like, "Holy shit! How can we show this to kids?" And the music was another thing that they thought was a problem because first of all, the original score was not what we have, and the music was all punk music because you brought up, you know, like the Sid Vicious T-shirt and shit like that, Nick. Like
Yes.
like they had a punk soundtrack because he's like, oh, it's teenagers, it's going to be punk. Well, what Steve Barron did was fuck himself by going to Disney because he wanted a few extra $1 million, and New Line said no because he wanted to get a couple more grand shots in the film, and he didn't get to finish it. In fact, one of them is partially in the trailer that he never got to finish, and that's where it shows the turtles pop up from the sewer in the reservoir thing with their shells. And that's when they come up and they're going to save April. There was a scene he wanted to shoot in New York, but they wouldn't give him the money, showing the turtles before that scene. And so what he did is he went out and he showed the cut to a few different people, and he showed some people at Disney, and Disney were ready to give him like $10 million fucking dollars to finish the movie off. And they were trying to option the movie for sale. Bob Shea lost his fucking shit when he heard this. He's like, "You went over my helmet? You're fired, motherfucker." And what's sad is Sally Menke went with him. And if you don't know the name, you've seen her work. She is the editor of Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, pretty much everything Tarantino did until she died. So yeah, she was the original editor. And there was a whole bunch of storylines that were in the film that got completely reworked and moved out. Like, if you noticed in the farm scenes, like everybody has their own little bit except for Michelangelo. His got cut out.
Yeah.
That's actually him on top of the barn screaming Splinter, not Raphael. That's actually him in the barn with the punching bag, not Raphael. If you pay close enough attention, it's not Raph, even though it's Raph's voice. Because it was Mikey, his little storyline is he is going from being the little party animal to he's all worried about Splinter, and we got to train and we got to get Splinter back now. He turned into the serious one because the leader is gone.
Right.
And it's supposed to harken back to that scene where Donatello asks him, what would it be like, you know, if Splinter wasn't here anymore? And he avoids the question. And he actually discovers the final lesson that they're supposed to learn, that Splinter's talking about when he goes, "You've learned the final lesson that ninja is not just of the body, but of the mind." And what gets cut is a scene. We see bits and pieces of it when they're training. But what Mikey's done is he's been training without being able to see. So he goes, "We need to learn how to fight in the dark." That's what Splinter would want us to do next, basically, in so many, like, he's telling the brothers. Like, he figured out what the next lesson is. So that each one is taking turns fighting each other with their bandanas twisted around to where they can't see, which sets up the scene later on when they're in the sewer and they kick the shit out of the fucking Foot Clan in the dark.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to see anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of the whole point of that. And it's all, it was all this whole thing that like was gone, got completely chopped out. Even Michelangelo's picture is no longer shown, but does exist, and somebody actually owns it. And it is out there. You can see pictures of it. Because she did a drawing of each of the turtles.
Mhm.
And Michelangelo's storyline got completely wiped off the table. And I mean, there was a whole nother ending and stuff that got completely removed, where April was trying to sell the story of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to a comic book company. And they're like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I don't know. It just sounds a little too far-fetched.
Wow, that hits too close to home. What I mentioned earlier.
So yeah, there was a completely different cut of this movie, and then they took the idea that they recut it, and it got a really good rating from the kids, but the parents hated it.
Of course.
Of course.
So they're like, okay, so what do we do here? Let's try to gear it a little bit more towards teenagers. So that's when they got MC Hammer and all that shit on the soundtrack. So like that's where the soundtrack came from.
Ninja
Turtle Power and all that stuff. Yeah. So all that stuff kind of came later in the game, even right around the time Steve Barron was fired. And then, so he never got to work on the final cut, but he was up there till the last minute because he went and fucked himself trying to go get some more money without asking Bob Shea first. So like, because there was another company, Golden Harvest, involved in this, and they were the first company. And if you don't know the name, you know the movies because they made like Jackie Chan famous.
Mhm.
This is the company over in Hong Kong and all that stuff that makes all those kind of movies over there, wherever I think it's Hong Kong is where they're at. Please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. And the Bruce Lee movies and all that stuff back in the day. And they're like, well, we can make a Ninja Turtle movie. All it is just our stunt guys in costumes. They didn't realize what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah.
So that's where they had to come out and get help from Henson Group. And the Henson Group had a pay or play deal with them. And that's when New Line got involved. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. We have Price of Reason popping in. How you doing, buddy? Right at the end of the show.
Right. Yeah. How's it going, man?
It's going. But I'm glad you're here because I'm the only one who got to bitch about Mutant Mayhem.
Ah.
And you and
But
I...
did you tell them the whole saga about Mutant Mayhem? Are they aware?
No,
of
I
all
did
the-
not. So I have not told them about the saga with you and I anyway.
That was a really insane saga. Like that was like that's more insane than the whole than the whole
Better
tier
than the
list.
movie itself, yeah.
Than the movie itself. That most of what I remember from it was that weird scandal, which by the way ended up like we ended up ruffling feathers in a way that like Paramount, I believe, had to make statements and stuff.
Yeah, you wound up in the news. I know that. I don't remember if they quoted me at all, but
Okay. I'll tell you what happened. Does anybody know anything, or this is like a clean slate situation?
this is kind of a clean slate situation. All I did was rate the film, so yeah.
I hope Mutant Mayhem got an F.
Where do you think it is? Yeah.
Oh, it is. I see it's in an F. Okay, great. So what happened is that I got like and maybe you did too. We had a chance to see it like an advanced screening. Do you remember that?
I saw it like on a preview screening, but there was kids and everything there. It was a public screening thing, yeah.
Right, but it's not like you still have to
But it was
do
like
some
early,
kind of
yeah.
You still had to like sign up somewhere and do some work to get it. It wasn't that they were just giving it away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many kids were actually at this screening, but yes, yeah. So there was something behind this thing, but yeah.
Anyhow, I put myself on a list and I
Yeah, you
got
had
like
to
a
go
ticket
onto
or
a
whatever,
list, yeah.
something like that. It wasn't that you just go to the theater and you get a ticket, meaning there was a limited amount of spots. Maybe some parents got stuff for their kids, but I didn't do that. I just wanted to review it. So I saw it. It was probably maybe like a week before it came out or something like that. And I went to the movie theater and I watched it and I hated it. I hated it so much. It was like the worst movie ever. And I was so annoyed the whole time. And in the movie, they have Splinter and he falls in love with Scumbug, who's like just like this kind of cockroach. And they're making out and stuff like throughout like at the end of the movie, and they're a couple and they live together. And I always thought that Scumbug was a male. So I when I was doing my review, when I got out of the movie, like I called Tom, for everybody listening. I actually got in touch with you and I said, hey, and you and I knew each other, like, but we weren't like great friends or anything.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know if we had streamed yet at that point.
No, we had
together.
never streamed. First of all, I had never streamed before ever, actually.
So you guys were basically on the dating app, getting to know each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what, we were in a few groups that had like, you know, maybe 20, 30 people that we were like in the same DM groups. We had a few of those that I was in the same one as Tom.
Yeah, we had chit chatted and we had gone back and forth on X, not like fought or anything, but like talked and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah,
No, and I think that there was even a time where there was something that you, like a weird thing that you got involved in, and I told you something that's not relevant to this thing. But in any case, we'd communicated a few times, but we weren't like, we weren't great friends. We were friendly, I guess. But so I basically I got in touch with you and I said, hey, I'm doing this review, and I can't remember because the cockroach doesn't talk. Isn't Scumbug a man?
As far as I know, I mean, but in the movie it's ambiguous.
Right. So what you told me was, you said, listen, they just race swapped a lot of these characters. You don't have anything to worry about. You know, they made it like it's a female, so you don't have to worry about it. So I said, okay, no problem. So then I go and I start looking online because I was looking at the marketing and the websites and everything for this movie. And when you looked at Scumbug, there was a poster that said that it was a male. If you remember, it said like Scumbug.
Yeah, I was trying to find that, but I must not have that on my PC here.
Let's see for a second. I'm sure.
I was looking for it. I have some stuff, but it must have been after that because
price reason Splinter. This I'll find it in 1 second. This shouldn't be.
Yeah, you'll probably have it before I will because it's probably on my old PC. I'm thinking. Then again, I do have some of the shit here, so I'm kind of like, it should be here.
So this is it here. Let me.
Yeah, go ahead if you got it already.
Let me see if I can share this.
I'll find it as soon as you share it.
So there's something here.
Yeah.
It's like somebody was taking a screenshot of this, some activist or something that didn't like what I was saying. But in any case, it says Scumbag as himself. You can at least see the himself here.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like posters for about every country saying Scumbag as himself. So I send this to you, and you're like, shit, like this is like they made Splinter gay. It's a gay couple. So I do my review, and I think at the time it was Bounding into Comics. I think it was John that was there.
Yeah, I think they picked up on it, and didn't some other outlets too?
Okay. What happened was, first of all, you tweeted something. Okay, I gave you the information. Then you did a series of tweets that you were saying, hey, it's they're advertising this as a male, and Splinter is in a relationship with them. So then after your tweet and my video, Bounding into Comics does an article where it talks about like my video and also features your tweets. And then like for some reason, I don't know how, a lot of people started like retweeting the article, retweeting the thing. And you had a situation within like 24 hours that this thing was like blowing up online. And I personally, it's not that I'm a fan of his personally, but I'll say that like when Andrew Tate and his friends are like retweeting and talking about this article that you and I are in with this Splinter thing, this is already like a red flag for the studio. And then Tom tells me, listen, let me tell you what's going to happen now. One, they're going to go delete all the posters that say that this creature is a man. They're going to do that like very quickly.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
And then they said the next thing they're going to do, there's going to be some kind of statement from some studio, and everybody's going to be throwing like basically me under a bus, or by extension you, but like blaming us for something, throwing us under a bus and making some excuse, deleting everything. And sure enough, not even 24 hours, I'm saying like hours, when all this thing is blowing up online, Paramount has the director make a statement, and he says like Splinter was never gay. He was always a heterosexual rat or whatever it is. It's so funny that the director had to make the statement. Okay, so he's like, Scumbug was always meant to be a woman. The only problem is that were people in the marketing department that made a mistake. And then he says, I was very furious when I saw the mistake. It's like, dude, this thing was already advertised like 3 months in every country. You know what I mean? How furious were you when a mistake was made in all the marketing material and nobody ever bothered to correct it? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, we noticed it, and as soon as we noticed it, they changed it because I remember saying that too. Yeah, I'm like, they're gonna change it, and
Started
yeah.
changing. They're scrambling. Like Paramount Pictures making all these statements with the director and all this stuff. But then the
I think
funniest
I
thing,
even said something like they might blame it on a marketing person or something like that
right?
too. I
And
think.
they tried to do that, but along the way they did something else. They wanted like to also throw us under the bus. So it was something along the lines of, first of all, he was never gay. This creature was always supposed to be a woman. This was a marketing mistake. And at the same time, like, you know, we don't appreciate that these kind of istophobes are making a big deal about stuff. And that's
Yeah.
like, they really, that was the direction. And then the next thing you know, I don't know if you know this, Tom, you and I during that week appeared in all these kind of LG, you know, BT type of publications as
Yeah.
like the villains. I don't know if you noticed. And then there
Oh,
was
what a badge of honor.
one. I have to show you this. This one is this one. The reason why this is funny is more than the article. Tom is funny, like, and I'll explain why. So can you see this now? Did I share it?
Yep.
So Yahoo News has like Yahoo Pride, okay? So in Yahoo Pride, it says, does Splinter kiss a male cockroach in the new Ninja Turtles movie? This is after we were like spun to be the bad guys. And then it writes, this all started when YouTube movie reviewer Price of Reason went to an early screening. Like all the stuff that you and I are talking about, Tom, is now like in the Yahoo thing. And it basically, it's seemingly explaining the issue that we had about the poster and all this stuff and how they're clarifying and all this stuff.
And
Now
don't
you're
I
mentioned
remember?
in here.
I was
Are
gonna
you
say
with
because
me?
I remember saying something also about they'll change it because it's a bigger deal that Jackie Chan's Chinese. I think than
Right.
anything else.
Maybe
Yeah.
that was the only reason they even changed it. Who even knows? Maybe he saw it and he's like, my rat's not going to be gay. You know what I mean? I don't even know what it
Yeah.
was. It could be that it had nothing to do with us.
Because I
So in
remember
any
saying I
case,
can't believe they do it considering that, but yeah.
it's Seth Rogen and he's kind of an idiot. So anything is possible. So it says, this is your tweet that they were actually putting in Yahoo. Paramount is trying to cover up the evidence that they tried to make Splinter gay. I can't believe that we appear like in Yahoo gay, like you and me, like Yahoo Pride. Sorry. Like they're talking about us, calling them out on their stupid crap. And then here's the thing that the studio, we were furious about it. That's what the director said. They put that out. I don't know who did that or how that happened, but we were immediately like, that's not true. Don't put that in the world. And that will now be on the internet forever. But that was never on our intention. That was never the character. We always imagined her to be a female cockroach. Yeah, whatever. It didn't look like a female cockroach. And that one poster was a slip up. The problem is they had a ton of posters for every market. And then they started removing all of them. And then at
And
the
as
end,
you said, they were up for months. Like they didn't change it until
right,
you noticed
months.
and showed me. Yeah.
See, if he said that he immediately noticed there was a mistake and he was furious and he demanded they all fix it, why, until the movie's release, did nobody fix it? Why would they be in months in different markets all over the world? It all says that the
Yeah.
thing was a male thing. In any case, this is the funniest part because this is the part that was like, I think really you and I bonded. And I think that it was a fun moment between us that we were looking at the article and it says, but regardless of the original plan, it seems ridiculous that right-wing homophobes are up in arms about the sexuality of a cartoon rat and cockroach. So obviously they were referring to, at least to me, probably to you as well, but like I'm mentioned in the article and they're referring to both of
I'm
us.
infamous. Yeah.
So then you say to me, Price, don't feel bad. Like, you know, they didn't mean that about you. They just mean that in general. I'm like, dude, they literally like mentioned me in this article and then wrote that. They're not like, this isn't like a metaphor that they're applying to like a general, like, you know, group. They are literally saying this about me and probably about you. Do you get what I mean? Like you try to make me feel better. Like this isn't a situation that we're being...
because totally you were being lumped in because of me. I think I told you this at the time. I'm like, I guarantee you they're referring to me because I'm already known in these circles. Like I've been at this point, I was already pre-canceled 10 fucking times. Like you guys gotta understand, I get like I ignore it at this point. I get so much fucking trans people come after me all the fucking time between the trans people and the fucking Snyder homos and all that shit, man. Like that anymore, it's just like whatever. I even got death threats back in the day. Right.
I believe
like,
you.
at first I took them seriously, but then you get to a point where you're just like, these people got no balls because they got them cut off. So
no, I sometimes get like once in a while I'll get like a crazy message, you know, from somebody, but it usually goes into my spam and I discover it like months later. But in any case, you're like, no, they didn't mean about you. I mean, maybe they meant you too, but I honestly believe that like I was
they were talking about me. They were talking about me, and that's because I think the thing was is because you were even upset because they're not so much upset, but you were like, I remember you asking me like, would you even consider my stuff right wing? Because you're like, and I'm like, no, you're pretty middle of the road kind of, because I'd watched a few of your videos at this point, I remember, and because you were concerned about that, and I'm like, no, it's me that gives you that. And I remember apologizing. I'm like, you're probably gonna be stuck with that now. So 'cause
Right,
Greg's
but
had to deal with the same shit. So
at minimum, I felt they were referring to both of us. I mean, they gave us both as examples for
I'm
like.
not trying to be egotistical here at all. No, like I am, like I'm known as this right here. Like this is what they say about me everywhere. You put this in Grok or any of Google or any of those
Well,
things,
here's
and
the
that's what
thing.
it says.
It seems ridiculous that right-wing homophobes are up in arms. So if anything, if
That's what I said.
nothing
You got
else,
lumped in with me. Exactly
yes,
my point.
yes, perhaps, and that's why you were saying no, they didn't mean you. But I'm like, dude, there's an article with me in it, and the conclusion is that like we're istophobes. I mean, it's not like an article that had like 70 people listed, and you're saying, well, they only meant about me. So I don't know why I thought that was like. I think I started laughing.
And
I'm
they're
like,
so
dude,
stupid. They couldn't even be smart enough to go and say, look, how do you know that Splinter wasn't gay? I don't ever remember Splinter actually being with anything or anybody before. They could have been smart, but they didn't.
right.
Because, yeah, in the cartoon, as Mo pointed out before, he is Hamato Yoshi, which we already know. Like, he probably was straight, because if you go by the original lore, Hamato Yoshi wanted Tang Shin, and that's what set the whole goddamn thing off. But in this version, again, he's just a rat. So, in fact, there is no Hamato Yoshi. They completely wiped that.
Right,
and
right.
that was
They
one thing I
ruined that
remember
whole
talking
thing.
to Alan Ing about, which was the other end of this. And that was where they're basically were Japanese washing away all the Japanese shit out of the film.
He watched TV. What did he do? He watched TV and
He found a video, and he fucking taught him from a video.
Very annoying. That movie was such a crappy movie. I'm sorry. That was a really terrible. Forget about Splinter and the kissing of the cockroach and all that stuff. First of all, even if it's a female cockroach, why is Splinter making out with a cockroach in a Ninja Turtles movie? That automatically shows that Seth Rogen doesn't understand the property, and just everything about it was unbearable, in my opinion. It was the worst.
Yeah. No, it is. It was. Again, I remember that time so vividly because, like I said, I do remember because we became good friends, and then that spawned off to the other part with Alan Ing, and yeah, that this movie was like I can't even believe some of the people that were giving it a pass, right? Like it's like I can look at it and sure, it looks like Ninja Turtles. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but I didn't like the art style anyway. On top of the story was just nowhere near. It was pretty much what people thought Ninja Turtles was, like your parents thought Ninja Turtles was when Ninja Turtles first came out. It is not even. And Seth Rogen at least did never say. I give him credit. He never did say he was a huge Ninja Turtle fan. I will give him that much credit.
He clearly wasn't.
He said that I remembered playing with the toys. I remember watching the cartoon growing up. I had all the toys. My dad bought them for me. But he never once said he was a huge fan or anything like that. He just was like saying, yeah, I just thought they were pretty cool. Like that was kind of the nonchalant attitude he had towards it. And I'm like, if Kevin Smith would have basically had that attitude towards He-Man, I wouldn't care. Like that's the difference. It's like, okay, clearly he wasn't the problem. We know he wasn't the problem, but he owned it. And Seth Rogen was just kind of like, yeah, they paid me to make this fucking movie. Basically, is what he was saying to me.
Less.
Exactly.
He injected his usual idiotic frat boy, whatever it is that he likes here. But it just didn't work within the context. It was like a combination of, for lack of a better word, woke and Seth Rogen humor, whatever that is, and sort of aimed supposedly for children. Really bad combination.
It comes off like a bad satire that doesn't really understand the thing it's making.
Exactly. You could tell that whoever made it didn't actually like it, like you said, didn't understand it. I'd be surprised. Maybe he watched the original movies. Maybe he didn't. He didn't seem to care about any of that. April O'Neil did not look like April O'Neil. She was a teenager, and I don't want to, say negative things, but she didn't look like April O'Neil.
I was gonna say that was the first thing that set everything off with this movie was when that came out.
She didn't look like April. Let's just say it. She looked like a fucking ball of Pudge. It was
Well, yeah, because it wasn't the
even
first time
bad.
they had race swapped her, but it was they made her that body positive version of April.
Well,
O'Neil.
Right, exactly.
What you need to
tried
do is
using
look
that
at
as-
the writer for the movie, and then look at
Yeah.
April O'Neil. It's
Yes.
like almost a spitting image.
It was like that Velma BS all over again. And you know, some people try using that. Oh, look at this image of April drawn with a perm. I'm like, yeah, put that image next to Baxter Stockman. Same artist. You can actually tell who is black and who isn't. And guess what? A lot of people had perms in the A's. Just look at the cover of Michael Douglas for the
Oh,
movie
God.
Black Rain.
And you know what is sad is that Eastman and Laird have not helped this argument, although
No, they have not.
I thought they put it to bed years ago, but then they have.
They're like,
So
oh,
much-
April was always meant to be black. Didn't you see the first comic?
No.
Did he say that? I don't think he said
I
that.
don't think he
I don't
did.
know.
I don't think he
No,
went
but that's
there.
what
No, he
people
didn't go
run
that
with.
far.
That's
And
what
that's
people
what
run
Mel's
with. They're like,
talking about.
his
They've not
girlfriend
made
at
it
time was
worse.
black, and he wanted her to be black or something. There's
No,
always some
they just
nonsense
said
that I hear.
something- It was honestly, it was something more. It was just something where, oh, hey, like she had a perm, I had a black girlfriend, but yeah, you could say there's an influence there, but how they ended up drawing her is one thing. Like it's the equivalent of saying, well, when we were making Wolverine, we didn't intend for that claws, but we decided to have claws anyway.
You want to see
could
what
have
April
a-
O'Neil looks
a
like in real
skeleton.
life?
You could have a skeleton of many.
This is what
ideas.
April O'Neil looked like in real life. This is
Okay.
the
Yes.
chick she is based on right here.
Yes.
And this is what I drop every fucking time somebody tries to bring that argument up. I'm so
Yeah.
fucking tired of it. I don't care what color she is anyway, but the point is, this is what she's based on. And
Yeah.
yes, as this is she's a little older here than probably the drawing, obviously, and look at Kevin already has a collection in his hand or whatever. But yeah, point being is that, like Nick said, everybody had the tight perms in the 70s and 80s. Everybody.
Right, that's true.
Oh my goodness.
My mom had perms. She still gets her hair permed.
Dude,
like-
Tom, I could still smell the perm.
Yeah.
I
Smell
right.
it. Yeah.
The amount
You
of
guys don't
hairspray.
know.
Y'all
Motherfuckers
don't
who were
know.
born before or after 1980, let's say what, 5, 6, 7. You motherfuckers don't know what it was like to have to sit in a fucking beauty shop for hours while your mother got a perm.
I remember that.
Oh, that smell was traumatizing enough. When mom
Yes.
Came out looking
Yeah.
The
came
good
out
ones,
looking like somebody from the Commodores. You're like, all right.
the good ones, at least if you had the older ladies who were like just doting over you, giving you treats and shit the whole time, making you sick while your mom didn't know. Like, yeah, that was the good ones. But like other times it was just boring as piss because all they had laying around was shampoo and girly And when I say girly magazines, I don't mean like Playboy. I'm talking like fucking Desperate
Housewife.
Housewife. Like, I know it's Good Housewife. I was being.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. See, y'all know. If you know, you know.
Yeah, all the 40-plus-year-olds in the chat are like, I remember. I was there at the beginning.
4 times.
That's why you loved going to the barber shop with your dad, because you were in the fuck out now. Like,
Oh,
and especially if you had a crying kid, dad was not pissing around.
No,
Like, just fucking
no.
shave him down. Don't even fucking care. Just go to town. Dad's holding the kid down. Just go. Go.
Yeah. I swear to God, I'll have him shave you bald if you don't stop
I'll
it.
make it bald. Dad was not about fucking around.
No.
no, I'm
The
gonna
only
sit. I'm
time
gonna sit
Dad
in the
would-
waiting room for 3 minutes, read a Sports Illustrated. My haircut's gonna take half as much as me sitting in the waiting room, and we're gonna get out of here.
That's what you can never understand about your father is this motherfucker never had time for shit. He was always behind. He was late. He's like, God damn it, kid. We gotta move. We're late. God damn it. But the motherfucker go fishing and sit there and do nothing for 6 hours. It's the only time he sits there and tells you just sit there. It's like any other time, Dad, you're telling me to move.
Oh yeah.
Just shut up. You're gonna scare the fish.
So true.
Or God forbid a football game was on.
Oh man.
Trying to watch my fucking game. Shut up.
Oh, so funny.
You know, and you think back, and there's that one time you probably disappointed your father where you just didn't think about it or realize that your dad works so hard all fucking week and all he wants to do is watch the football game on Sunday. And all you're doing is pissing him off because you're nagging him or you want to watch something else or you're doing this, you're doing that. And he's like, just shut up. I want to watch the fucking game.
True. And
True.
that is a good that's a good segue into how we feel about the Seth Rogen animated series.
Exactly.
Yes, but that's like, hey, I want to watch this movie, and guess what, Dad? I'm trans and gay.
Well, it does. It feels like my grandma made this fucking movie, but she just let somebody go wild with fucking cocaine. It's just, it is so disjointed and like I said before you came in here, my review started out as ADHD the movie price. Wouldn't you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, it was. That's what really annoyed me. That, see, I guess I don't know what version of movie we saw, but let's just say that the people that were complaining about me were right. They claimed that at some point Splinter refers to Scumbug as her. He says something, oh, she, like when when Scumbug flies by, he says something that implies that her pronoun is her. And people were like commenting either on my video or online. They're like, didn't you notice that he said that her pronoun was her? And like, if you even watch this movie, there's like these people talking over each other, all these like lights flickering. It's such an annoying movie. You can almost not watch it. And in some chase scene where there's like a million flashing things flying around, that he used a pronoun to describe her as her. I mean, nobody could blame me if I didn't realize that.
I didn't even remember it when you asked
I
me.
didn't even remember it either.
And I said there was enough time they could have changed it. Because
Right,
they did that to that Spider-Man cartoon without anybody noticing.
Right. I mean, all they had to do was just say like that one thing that he's like, oh, she, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. That's all he has to do. So somebody can go back and say, well, he does say she. You can barely understand what he's saying. I guess he's saying it's she. I don't even know. I didn't go back to watch it again. And when you have like a preview, we saw it a week before everybody, so I didn't get a chance. I couldn't have gone to the theater to watch it again. Not that I really wanted to go for that stupid pronoun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't remember, like I said, because you asked me that, and I'm like, I don't really remember, because like, and that was my response, because everything was
Right.
so
Right.
And I'm already somebody who can take a lot of input fast, right? Like I'm
Right.
usually multitasking all the time as it is. So if you're fucking confusing me, then that means you have had too much cocaine, buddy. Because
The movie is unwatchable. It's like, you know how sometimes you watch a cartoon and there's like this kind of warning in the beginning that you could get like a seizure. Do you get what I mean? I feel like
totally.
that's the type of thing that would give somebody one. You just
And they were bragging about this shit. They're like, oh, we love it because we let the kids just talk over each other shit. It's like you can't understand anything they're saying.
Right.
And I don't mean because it's like we're old and we don't understand. No, you just can't understand because you literally have 4 kids and they don't even sound like teenagers.
No.
They sound like little fucking kids. So
Right.
this is another thing why people are like, oh, we're glad we finally have teenagers playing these roles. It's like, yeah, but here's the problem is they don't sound like fucking teenagers. They sound like 6-year-olds. This is why you have adults play teenagers.
Right.
Especially when you got like Robbie Rist and Corey Feldman who sound like they're perpetually 14 years old. Right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, those two boys, like, as much as I give shit to Corey Feldman for part fucking 3, he nailed the first one. And
Yep.
those fucking voices are so fucking brilliantly, perfectly done that they have embodied those characters that what they do in Mutant Mayhem is like, okay, Mikey has like, I think the deepest voice of them all, which is off-putting because Mikey usually has one of the higher voices, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that should be his default. High and energetic.
He sounds like his balls dropped 10 years before the other boys, which is funny because he's supposed to be the youngest of the group anyway.
Yeah.
Which
he's
is funny
supposed
because
to
I know
sound
you guys
the
don't
most
realize that
immature.
they're actually supposed to be different ages, but yeah, it just depends on which lore you go by. And then the rest of them sound like they're either squeaky girls or somewhere between 6 and 7 years old, and they act like it constantly. And as I pointed out, Price, the first thing they do in the movie is steal food, right? Like, and they don't even pay for it. Like, at least in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, when they take the pizzas, they leave the money in the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, and even as a kid, I said to my mom during the first movie, I'm like, Mom, where do the Ninja Turtles get money? Because I was always wondering that. And I finally had my mom in a position to ask her because she didn't sit through the cartoons with me. And she did this movie, though, and she actually enjoyed the movie by the end of it, surprisingly. And her answer made sense to me as a kid. She goes, well, they probably just find it washed up in the drains.
Yeah.
And then you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, everybody's losing money all the fucking time, especially in a big city. Sooner or later, that money's going to wash up, just like everything else Donnie picked up. Yeah, everything else Donnie picked up and put back together for him, their television, everything that's there. That's what I love about the attention to detail in that first movie. It looks like everything was put together by Donatello. Like even like the fucking phone, even the phone booth rigged up there and all that shit. It's like, it's so brilliantly, perfectly done. They kind of carried it over into the second film, even though they get the more extravagant,
setup.
I think the most long lasting part of the original movie is you never pay full price for late pizza. There were so many pizza delivery men that got screwed from years on. I don't think I still would. I just do carry out nowadays because I don't want.
And I'll never pay money for a Jose Canseco bat.
Oh, dude! When I was a fat butterball, the baby, apparently I would laugh my ass off at that scene when Casey Jones was like, "Strike one." Whoa, whiffer. Yeah. Apparently, I would just laugh my ass off as a fat baby. I would just fall down laughing as a baby because of that scene. Apparently, I don't know why I found it so funny, but apparently that scene, anytime. So apparently I was told that my dad and my uncle would just rewind it and replay the scene, and they would just watch me laugh my face off, falling on the ground laughing at that scene. I don't know what it was, but 3-4-year-old Nick thought that was the funniest shit in the world.
Well, speaking of Rafael Fernandez in the chat asks, what would my dad's answer be? Well, my dad's answer is always, ask your mother. I don't know.
Cricket?
Unless it has something to do with cars or sports.
Yeah.
Or cowboys. Like if I asked him about John Wayne, he'd have an answer maybe. I love that film. It's a great movie. It got everything right. I'm glad we were able to talk about it on the 35th. It's hard to believe. 35 years.
No.
Yes.
Right, dude.
Now I know some of us didn't see it till later. I got to see it original first run, and then over the summer I spent at my grandma's, so where I grew up, and we have like a real shitbox little theater nearby where they show movies like 2-3 months after they come out. And it sounds like, Mo, that's probably how you saw it too, because you said you saw it closer to the end of summer. And that's the thing, guys. This movie played throughout the entire fucking summer, right? Like I saw it like 3 or 4 times throughout the summer.
Oh,
it wasn't like you had to go
we
see
weren't
it right
poor.
away.
We weren't poor. We just didn't have much money. It was just like, it was like you had to like meter what you spent on a family.
No.
Yeah. My mom
saying, like it was. I'm talking about how it was staggered released in some places. Not everybody had the option to go see it right away.
Oh yeah, no. We saw it not too far after release, but it was definitely a matinee. Like I'm not saying we were broke, but it was just like.
No, it wasn't even implying that. I'm just saying like because like I was living in a big city when the movie first came out, so we had a theater that was showing it right away on March 30th.
Tom, I have a question though. What part of the third one with Corey Feldman upset you?
Everything about him, every fucking thing he says is so fucking dumb. And
but
it's not his fault.
It's not his fault. The third one is just the worst out of the 3 movies.
I know. Well, and what I pointed out when I said it was like everything he says in there that sucks is in the trailers too. That's the thing. Like, oh, he's just swallowing a frog. I hope it wasn't an ancestor. And who did you expect? The Addams Family and swing. Those things I hate about that movie.
He totally was doing lines that entire.
Right, but it's still he was given a script. I mean, the third one, probably. Turtles in Time, is really not a good movie. There's nothing you can do about that.
Not really.
I agree.
Yeah, and the Addams Family line was cringe because it really dates the movie. Because here's this fucked up part, and this is a rule, and people should learn this in Hollywood, and they never seem to learn. Never, ever, ever, ever poke fun at the movie you're going up against because you're almost guaranteeing that your movie's gonna fail.
Mm-hmm.
This happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger with Last Action Hero and other films like this. This movie, people don't remember this because Addams Family blew it out the fucking water, but TMNT 3 came up against Addams Family values.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wait,
Adam's Family Values was big.
What did remind
Yeah.
me? What did Last Action Hero make fun of?
It was whatever the
Action
Jurassic
movies in
Park
general.
and well, no, but there was a
Arnold
poke at,
Braunschweiger.
in the trailers. I think they were poking fun at Jurassic Park.
Were they? I can't remember.
Yes,
I mean-
because like they were doing with the whole ticket thing, and if I remember right, it's something to do with Jurassic Park that summer in Jurassic Park, and also Wayne's World 2 also had a Jurassic Park joke in it, and it also got trampled by fucking Jurassic. Everything got trampled by Jurassic Park that year. Like it was like, and everybody's trying to make fun. Like it's just a rule of thumb. You shouldn't make fun of the other movie you know you're going up against because chances are you're gonna fail. Like, it's
Also,
just-
Last Action
never
Hero
fails.
just wasn't a very good movie.
It was, but it wasn't. It was the wrong movie for the time. I will argue that because if you watch it, when's the last time you watched it? It aged very well.
I
ha-
like
Haven't
Last
watched it
Action
probably
Hero.
since I saw it in the theater. I think I never
Okay.
saw it again.
Because I didn't really care for it as much when it first came out, but over the years I've grown to appreciate it, and I still say it was released like 5 to 10 years too soon.
I'll
Because
give it a
was
shot.
released-
I'll give it a
the
shot and try to
problem with
watch it.
it was released in the height of the superhero or action. It's not superhero. It was released in the height of action hero movies. When if it was released maybe 3-4 years after that, where a lot of those movies had become like the jokes would have landed better. Because that's the thing is you realize as a kid I didn't realize it was supposed to be a satire. The whole movie's a satire.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
making fun of
think I
Schwarzenegger
understood.
and all
I
that
think
shit,
I
yeah.
understood that it was a satire. It just somehow didn't work for me. Like I felt that it was a movie that it was trying to. It didn't know if it wanted to be a satire or it was taking itself seriously.
No,
and
it
somehow-
was definitely a satire.
If it was a satire, I guess it didn't make me laugh enough for me to think it was a satire.
I think it will as an adult more because that was the problem is they were trying to get kids in the theater when you kind of have to be an adult to get a lot of the jokes.
Maybe I'll check it out again if you say it's
You
so
should.
great.
I think if I'm wrong, I'm sorry I wasted 2 hours of your time, but it's one of those movies that I feel like, yeah, it was just released at the wrong fucking time.
Maybe
and-
Tom, Nick will watch
And
it
the
too.
audience wasn't ready for it yet. Kind of like Michael J. Fox says in Back to the Future. Your
I
kids
love
are
that
gonna love it.
movie. I watch it every time I put some beef stroganoff in the microwave.
Maybe Tom, we'll talk about it for next.
But all right, kids, let's wrap this up. Mo, thank you so much for hopping in here, buddy. It's always fun to get to hang out with you guys over on Drunk Stream, but it's fun to have you here as well. I'm glad you were able to join us. I think you stepped away though.
He'll be
He
back.
did. He said, "Be right back." So we'll come back to him.
Yeah, it
Bryce,
was
thanks
great
for
to be
popping
here,
in. Yeah.
Tom.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about any of the other films that you didn't get a chance to, real quick?
The one from the first movie ever made. That's the best movie.
And Snow is White.
Unless it's from
maybe-
Disney.
Unless it's Snow White Disney, exactly. Thank you.
Basically, the first one. I don't even see like your tier list now, but you know the 1989, 1990, whatever that one is the original is like an A list or S. I don't know if you had an S tier or whatever it is. That's like the top tier. Whereas Mutant Mayhem, of course, would be an F. Turtles in Time, probably like a C or a D. Teenage Mutant, The Secret of the Green Ooze, or whatever that was, I would give that like a B.
Yeah, pretty close to what we had here.
There's also did we do the Michael Bay ones? Are they in here?
Yes.
Yes, we
The
did.
Michael Bay ones, you know, I would give them
We
somewhere.
We were
around-
nice to the 2014 movie and gave it a D because we said it wasn't as bad as Mutant Mayhem.
I would have given them maybe both a D. I watched them and I thought that they weren't very good, but like I don't know. I didn't go to the theater for some reason to watch these. Maybe I didn't like what I saw in the trailer. I think I didn't go to the theater. I watched them later, like on streaming or whatever options there were, and I was just like okay with them. I think that I hated them less than you hated them, but there's certainly there is nothing you can't compare those with even one and even The Secret of the Green Ooze. What else got a B, by the way?
The 07 animated film.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and then we were nice to the Bay one because, like I said, at least it wasn't as bad.
So
as
what
the
got a
sequel,
C?
and
What was a C?
That's 3.
Eh,
Middle of the road.
I really feel you were kind of kind to 3. 3 was a really bad movie.
We were
from-
very kind to it, but that's because the gripes I had, and then Like we had a few people that liked it more than others and less than. It's one of those movies it's the most debated of all the Ninja Turtle films. Cuz the time travel aspect and certain other aspects of the film, like we were talking about, like, Norinaga and Walker aren't bad guys. In fact, I brought up the point that Walker is actually a pretty badass bad guy. He's kind of worse than Shredder in some ways, because all Shredder's doing is teaching kids how to steal shit. Walker's giving guns to the fucking feudal Japanese people. So, like, they're not giving, he's selling them. So he's a gun trader basically, and he's giving them weapons of destruction. So, like, yeah, there's a lot more going on in that film than, and the Turtles have traveled through time in the comics and stuff. So that wasn't nothing out of the norm. And we got Casey Jones back, and there's some other positives, but just didn't quite nail it like the first one or second one by far. But I think this is pretty good. I think we got it pretty good. I don't think anybody's going to really complain too much about this. There's always a few, but yeah, I think we got it. So yeah, Mo, that you're back now. I said it was always fun to get to hang out with you on Drunk's channel, but now we got to hang out with you here, and it was fun. Hopefully you had a good time. And
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Let you kick off sending us off. Tell us where
my impression was pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Well, I'm going to be on the Monday Hangover with Drunk CPO tomorrow. We're going to be reviewing the movie War Games, which is one I have not seen in so long. I've rewatched it, and I saw it as a kid.
Would you like to play a game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a movie that it's one of those ones when you get as old as I am, I'm in my mid 40s, you kind of are like, okay, I haven't seen this one in so long, and I barely remember it. So it's
aged all right, in my opinion. Yeah.
Oh, it's more than most. Yeah, no, it's really good. But
although everybody was very harsh on Short Circuit last week, I was very disappointed.
Well, they're wrong, so it's okay.
I know
we're right. So, but it's nice to go over some of those old movies. And I'm going to be doing that late and gay with the GCA on Wednesdays. And obviously I'll be peppered in with other streams, which is wonderful. It's just a wonderful time streaming with all the people on the internet, including everyone on this panel. It's been a pleasure. Price of Reason, really fun to be streaming with you for the first time. Thank you very much.
Great seeing you here too, man. It was fun.
So that's what's going on. Just enjoying this fun little life that is YouTube streaming. Thank you for having me on.
Indeed. Well, we're glad to have you, and I'm glad Nick hooked you up with the link, and we'll have to have you on a mead one of these days too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Greg, what have you got going on? I know Wednesday I'll be hanging out with you. We'll be talking about some movies over on your channel.
Yes, every Wednesdays at 9:30 we do the Physical Media Show, me and you, and we're still looking for some people to join us on that. But I did release a video today, and I do videos basically, on physical media and movies.
Yeah, if you're like a 20-something-year-old who loves physical media, we're looking for you to beat up on you every Wednesday. So
Yeah.
and make fun of you for not watching movies. No, I'm kidding. No, we'll be nicer to you than we were.
Some of the
definitely
others.
better than we treated Rookie, but maybe somewhere between Rookie and Runner.
We just had it just happened that the first young 20-something-year-old we inspired him to become a director, and he went to film school.
Yeah.
So
We did good with the first kid, but the second one came out bad. We're like, we got to replace this one.
He's got the middle child syndrome. So
Middle child syndrome so bad. Even though we love him, he's still just
he disappoints.
no.
you.
He's got to work all the time and Subway and
Yeah.
no. So seriously, yeah, we're actually looking for another co-host. But we're wanting to get somebody who's a younger generation to kind of give us the counterbalance to the old fogies on the panel.
We get the old grumpy men covered, but
Yes.
if you like physical media, B movies, horror, stuff like that, that's what I do over on my channel, and I have fun doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of
Thanks for
great
having me.
videos. I recently checked out some of your recent videos on like the players and stuff and collecting. So if you guys because you guys a lot out there have a lot of questions for me about physical media, which I don't mind answering, but Greg has a great channel where a lot of your questions are already answered in videos. So do yourself a favor and check out Fanzine. And Price, I think this one's for you. Deadman says, here you go. Go ahead and say this.
Hello, Nick. Price of Reason. Did you eat beefaroni the whole time you watched the first TMNT movie? Price, Nick. Did you eat pizza during
Supposed to do your Nick
TMNT
voice
one?
at the end.
I guess we're supposed to like answer
All
as
right,
each
let's
other.
redo this.
Yeah. You're supposed to do each other's voices, I think.
Okay, so Nick, you have to answer the first part as me, I guess.
Hello, Nick. Did you eat beefaroni the whole time you watched the movie?
And I'm you now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, diabolical.
Price, did you eat pizza while you watched TMNT 1? I like to throw some pizza in the oven from time to time. Pizza from Detroit has some pepperoni and sausage on it. And if there's one thing I love, it's sausage. Sausage in my mouth.
Oh, shit. Just when I thought we weren't going to make it gay.
All roads lead to
we
the
went
back
the
door
whole
eventually.
fucking show without making it gay for once. And you had to go and do that. Jason Webster says studio execs come from the corporate background. They don't understand that filmmaking and from conception to finished film is a creative process. Well, that's one way of putting it. You're not wrong, Jason. And also adds for another 5. Thank you for the Australian dollar dues. So studio execs engage in assembly line filmmaking. Exactly. Just churn out content they judge from analytics that will accumulate the most money. Yes. This is what I like to call the McDonaldization of film. So, yes. And Deadman asked what Biden thinks about TMNT. I think it's strategic.
It's strategic that we stop them at the source. They're a horrible threat. And if they continue, then bananas are going to go skyrocket. And I don't know if Elon Musk can handle that. I like muskmelon, but I don't like it as much as ice cream. Hi, Nick.
Who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of here. You're dead. You're stupid. You're retarded.
That's what he thought.
Go get carried out on a stretcher. You loser. I guess this is the part where I plug my channel.
Yes, Nick, this is the part where you plug.
All right,
us.
so I plug on the way out. Let's see here. I did a video. I reviewed A Working Man from Jason Statham. You should watch
it was
that.
A good movie. You liked it.
I didn't see a review yet, but I'll watch it.
Go watch it. So, and go watch Price of Reason's review. Go watch both our reviews.
Yes,
so watch Nick's review, then watch mine's, and then you can admire how both our reviews are really amazing for different reasons. Oh, and then I have Toxic Tuesday. We'll be talking Jet Li's The One. It's gonna be diabolically huge. Seriously, like you might as well bring Gilbert Gottfried back from the dead for this one. It's gonna be great. And of course, Wednesday night, me and Mark D with the C will be talking episode 7 from Daredevil Born Again. And I'll have another video or 2 out again this week as well. I've been on a video roll lately. So more videos coming this week. And yeah, it's been good. Of course, I'll be here Tuesday and Thursday. So yeah, thank you for having me, Tom. Always good talking TMNT. Never gets old. I could talk about TMNT for years on end, and I'll probably be doing that until I'm like 130. So thanks again for having me. And chat, thank you for being here and giving us your time to hang out with us. And have a good night, everybody.
Beefaroni.
Beefaroni. I'm going to put on a pot on the stove and make myself a big old meal of beefaroni.
One of these days, I'm gonna buy a Chef Boyardee, and I'm gonna see how this beefaroni tastes like after 3 years. I'm probably gonna hate it.
Chef Boyardee is the #1 chef in America.
And I will have a nice glass of Orangina on the side with it.
Orange China. All right, kids. Thank you so much. This actually went a little longer than I anticipated it would, but it's been a lot of fun.
That's what she said.
Happy anniversary, TMNT 1990. Thank you, guys. See ya.